Good time zone. A happy birthday to all of those around the world. Tiny bit late because my computer was acting up, getting a bit rebellious again. But I gave it a stern talking to. So hopefully we'll be fine. Gotta check out U4. Yes. I was actually, that was an option this week. But I hadn't had the chance to look at the patch notes and determine whom I would want to play. And we have some Endfield lore to catch up on, so another day at some point. Have to get the capture Endfield real quick. But we'll get into it. I did finish yesterday. Well, I guess I didn't finish it, but I did get all the medals for Stronghold Protocol. I came around on that event. At the beginning, I know I was like, it's a little long and like, but actually, it's not actually that bad. And when I played multiplayer, it wasn't that bad. It doesn't quite make sense. Some of the some of the design choices, like why there's 4 players, but you only ever actually play with one person. Maybe it's a matchmaking thing. Maybe it just helps with matchmaking. I don't know. I had to look up for because the last medal I had was the complete all of the like missions, and I was like, the last missions I had were to get faction points, the faction stacks. I'm like, I actually don't know how that mechanic works, so I had to look into that. Which there wasn't many videos about that, but luckily there was some descriptions, and I figured it out. But I actually had to pay attention to operator abilities which give stacks, and I was like, oh, okay. I've never paid attention to that. Still have to level up. Get all the level up rewards though. Enfield's really loading today. That's kind of strange how long it's taking. I do actually need to pull up the last lore one we did to remember weapon content, right? I know I got 2 new 6-star weapons. I don't know about the other ones. And also, I'm pretty sure it was 3 operators. I think it was Perlica, Aviwina, and Li Feng, I'm pretty sure. But I shall check. And Endfield is not being captured. Very cool, Endfield. Yeah, no, it's not. Computer's still rebelling, I see. I mean, it's in... I'm just gonna shut it down. Ugh. That's never happened before. What is this, Honkai Star Rail? It's weird because it shows up in the properties, but it's not showing up on the scene itself. I don't know what that means. What does that mean? Is it just Endfield or is it everything? What is going on? I don't know. All right, I made a new window capture and that worked, so whatever. Good enough for me. Kabam. Sorry about that. Not sure what was wrong with the other one.
I'm heading to the lab.
Wow, it's Zhang right here.
It's my first time on Dijang, but my holographic projection has been here for meeting. By etiquette, I should put it in proper store.
A survey. It's got Flora and Estelle to read. I know no new like interesting toasts really. Pogranichnik does mention Azazel, which is neat, but doesn't really go into any detail. Which is pretty typical. Does say, amidst the ruins I saw him and that girl, his adopted daughter. I'm not sure who that's supposed to be. Guess we'll do these while we're here. Maybe something interesting will happen. And man, I heard you worried about my injuries. Nothing serious, just bad luck. I ran into a fire before coming back and got exposed to some toxic plants. Stuff like this happens all the time at Intel work. Honestly, I'm used to it. Yeah, I like rope snapping right before a mission. Tusky showing up while I'm gathering intel. All sorts of chaos. I always have backups and backups for the backups. This time, one of my emergency meds actually worked. That's why you're always hurt? Well, yeah, when bad luck hits me, but thanks to all these experiences, I've learned quite a few emergency treatment skills. Even Fluoride didn't believe me at first. Now she comes to me right away. Being this unlucky must be tough. It's fine. I figure luck balances itself. Bad now, good later. Good luck will come eventually. I met Z7, joined Endfield and met you. Isn't that proof? I suppose. Does that mean my misfortune might fall on you guys as well? Luck will come eventually. Our goal is to make sure misfortune doesn't cause so much harm. Things will get better and bad luck won't weigh us down as much. Like you said, luck will come eventually. Does that mean there'll be less luck too? Just kidding, it's okay if I'm not that lucky. Because I've already gotten the greatest luck long ago. At least she's optimistic. Had someone leave a box for you. Did you see it? I won't fall for it again. Last time you made it sound so nice, but it still turned out to be a jack-in-the-box. Hey, don't be mad. There's still a gift hidden inside the box. I swear it's really just an ordinary wildflower I spotted by the roadside this time. Though it's been in my pocket for a while, it might be a little crumpled. Thanks for the gift, but why did you think to give me a flower? Don't know. Felt like you'd appreciate it. Folks in the frontier call it the Pathfinder's Bloom. I only found out later that this wildflower was also brought over from Terra. It only grows where people have been, but this one sprouted right on the edge of the blight, just centimeters from that filth. Is it a white flower, perhaps? A flower from Terra blooming on the edge of blight on Talos, too. What's the word for it again? Quite poetic, isn't it? No matter how these dangers reject us, the civilization band has already taken root on Talos, too. No matter how close the threat looms, life never gives up on growing. Quite poetic indeed. Though I just killed it. I've always felt that the lands beyond the frontier, the ones farther out, might not truly belong to us. Whether it's those chaotic buggerloid or the self-spreading blight, either managed to destroy this planet before we arrived. That's indeed the truth, but I don't want everyone to think that way. This world doesn't belong to anyone, and we are not superfluous on this planet. Too serious there, hero. The wilderness shows no mercy. Every blade of grass that survives had to claw for its place in this world. I just think there's no real difference between the civilization band and the frontier. If anything, it's just one massive frontier. Only now we've got a bunch of pretentious hypocrites to deal with on top of it all. If you want to live well, you have to fight for it. True. Whether facing nature or even the more complex society built upon it, living space must be fought for. So some rules for the wildlands still apply with this civilization. Only those who know how to stand on their own won't ruin the land for everyone else. They're worth sticking together with. As for the parasites among us, those bands who can't survive without exploiting others, I'd rather eliminate them myself. Well, we're very serious today, huh? Getting all philosophical over a single flower? Well, while picking that flower, I happened to take down a few clueless parasites who weren't on the mission roster. I'll leave the cleanup to you. Thanks, hero.
I am open to questions related to Iridium devices, in addition to other things.
Alright, let me check. I didn't get the chance to check. Weapons. What weapons? So I got Chivalric Virtues and Oblivion. I also got Imminent Repute. Okay, cool. Forgot about that one. I already had that. Did I get any new 5-star? $12 questions, I think. Is the only one. We'll start with that. Cool looking sword. Must be Hannabit. And next to the 12 corpses, Orisha, the Aldertone candidate, questioned the Sand Reaver. Why murder the Hannabit circuit walkers? Hate, the Sand Reaver replied. Why hate? Because black is the reflection of white, the Sand Reaver replied. The path of the Hannabit circuit went against the one taken by the Landbreakers. The circuit taught people to avoid disasters so no one had to fight for survival. The circuit taught people to farm and grow so no one had to kill each other for food. But for the killers, these only strengthened their refusal to take the circuit's path. And next to the 12 corpses, the Sand Reaver questioned Orisha. Why do you choose to be cowards? Because that is the greatest form of courage, Orisha replied. Why do you refuse to kill? Because we are not enemies of each other, Orisha replied once more. The Hannabit circuit chose nature, a path beyond a greater distance. Coexistence with Talos II was not cowardice, and one did not dispense with vigor and braveness when helping the needy. The melodies of the Hana began with the most primal and intense of sufferings. When the entire world choruses with the Hana, no one would be left behind. And thus Orisha pulled out a knife from one of the 12 bodies and asks the Sand Reaver her final questions. From whence did they come, marks made 10,000 years ago? And where will they go, stars that shimmer in the heavens above? Why do they stop, bedazzling colors that soak the lands and the soil? How can they claim wisdom when they stare blankly at nature's trove? Did they truly choose to fight never-ending battles and wars? Are they courageous by raising weapons against those who held not? How can a clan unite if they only raid but never protect nor grow? How can a people survive if they ignore change and pursue the feuds of old? The Sand Reaver, drunk on violence, had no answer. But the fledgling Aldertone was not there to guide. The 12 questions weaved together to form a weapon. The endpoint of vengeance is but a shattered soul. Do they say that every time they kill people? It's all a bit of a Sand Reaver, though. They've only been mentioned a few times. I think that's the only other Landbreaker clan, right? That's at least the one I remember. Alright. Chivalric virtues. Ameshko Industries. The legendary spokesman, Malkovich, did not leave us a legacy of boredom, dullness, or aesthetic suffering. No, we Talosians have more than our fair share of suffering and pain. We have to deal with the blight, the blasted Agaloy, and an unforgiving and hostile world. This is why we need something indispensable to every community and civilization. We need excitement. And little Jacobin is right. We successfully preserved a few forms of entertainment from Old Terra. We got books, movies, cards, and video games. But why am I so passionate about this particular form of entertainment? Why do I keep harping all day about the renaissance of the majors? Alright, settle down, and enough with the rumors. I'm no Terranist. I'm definitely not a returnist. Talos is my sole focus. Do you think I'm doing all this because I miss Kazimierz? Nay. My old man didn't even leave me a photo of that distant place when I was born. Nay, my friends. I am a man of the moment. I care about the now, and this is why I spent my life's fortune to build this underground arena at my hometown. People, we're no longer on the spotless and elegant boulevards of Old Terra. We're on an alien world, a new land, a wild land. Literature, movies, blah. These nonsense make our youth soft and shackle them into their cozy little bunks all day. Can you expect bookish nerds to haul carts of oranginium ore at the booster factory? Will you feel safe if the Order of Steel Oath garrison their fortresses and fight the Agaloy with skinny lads wearing thick spectacles? Think about the time when our youths fought in the majors. Remember how they encouraged us to forge ever more powerful weapons and warriors? How it forced us to perfect our way of wielding the arts? A sport that venerates our martial traditions is exactly what we need to fight and beat this unforgiving world to the ground. In other words, and this is for your ears alone, the TGCC and the military are definitely going to back us up for this great endeavor. Nay, we're not breeding barbarians or brainless muscleheads. The major is indeed a martial sport, but its aim is to hone our physical and mental strengths. Isn't that the epitome of knightly virtues? Ethics? Yes, it might be necessary, but we also need to make money first. Rake in the creds and we'll talk about ethics later. Enough with your silly ideas, Red Chen. I heard that your surgeon of a son was assigned to the north. You probably won't worry as much if the boy had more meat on him. Oh, you're definitely right. In fact, I think the Order of Steel Oath will be interested in making an investment. Think about this. If a few of our arena superstars get famous enough, we'll be attracting more than just one money bag. That's what they told me about old Kajimersh. They created superstars out of their knights, super knights. Investment, of course, investments, good people. I didn't call everyone here just to make you hear me waggle my tongue. Fine, I'll get straight to the point. I've already recruited the first batch of arena contenders. I got a few engineers, surgeons, and raiders. But these are just appetizers. I found 2 actual veterans. They'll give us the show we want. Oh, you make a great point. That's the slow and steady way to go, but once I blanket every street and wall with posters of my exhilarating major, the starting price would be way, way higher. Forget it. By the time the Oathkeepers approach me for an investment, I wouldn't need your money from your serial trade no more, Ujek. Alright. Has anyone got not signed? Good. Now, since this pot of creds came from our family, it's only fitting that we name the arena after our family. And that's not all. When the major becomes the most important event in this world, the entire league will bear our name. The Hanaki League. Incredible. I wonder if this is actually a thing already, or if they're still working on it. Also, I'm pretty sure Malkovich is a character from the Kajimersh storyline, if I remember correctly. The legendary spokesman. Yes. Yeah, he was the guy who worked at a food company who was just like a nobody, and then the TGCC was like, we're gonna make you the face of the entire company. And he's like, what? Yeah, there he is. That was when he was before he had a glow up. That was a great one. I like that one. Oblivion, which is a Sarkaz Witching Hour one. Basic Orangenium circuits. The rest of the unit was constructed using unknown material. Can this really be built in Talos too? I lived in a small village before I became an Enfielder. It was more like a makeshift camp. Both the Woosters and the TGCC had plans to develop the surrounding region. The area was jointly managed by the 2 organizations, and we had all sorts of people. Despite the shoddiness of the place, it was lively and boisterous. I remember a particular evening when I saw a few Sarkaz squatting in front of the door to my cabin and munching on their rations. They were members of the Wooster crew, but none of them had their shirts on and bared their stocky bodies to the wind. All of them were typical Sarkaz, or about the positive and capable of wielding the arts. They were my people. When they saw me, they gave a rather embarrassed smile and moved a bit so I could leave my cabin. Another Wooster crew with the same outfits partied around a bonfire not too far away from them. They laughed, cheered, and munched on the same rations. They danced around the fire and sang songs from their home. Munched on the same rations. I hope you understand what that meant, Supervisor Perlica. Life for my people had changed a lot. My grandpapa had lived for over 200 years, and he would tell me stories about Kasdal. The other Chalosians might tolerate us more than their ancestors did back in the days when Grandpapa lived on Terra. People no longer feared our arts, and Oropathy was no longer the killer it once was, thanks to the efforts of numerous scientists and surgeons. I have many friends of other races, and we all receive the same education. However, thanks to our innate skills in the arts and our powerful build, my people and I either became indispensable forces of labor or soldiers fighting against the Agaloy and the Blight. This might look fair. Every crewmate and worker munched on the same rations, but my people were left alone to themselves. Every race had fun at that bonfire party. Every race except for us. Sometimes I'd think that the way people tolerated the Sarkaz was by forgetting that we are the Sarkaz. Is this a forced construct of equality built upon a deliberate exclusion and neglect of the differences that separate our histories, cultures, and languages? The Telosian condition was a vast improvement over the Terran injustice we endured. During Grandpapa's time, my people would treat my words as paranoid ramblings and unrealistic demands of a pampered and insatiable child. But I must ask this question. Who can protect the integrity and values of being a Sarkaz? My people would not earn respect if things go on like this. Instead, we could become a domesticated species serving the interests of others. Of course, I do know about Zeshka, but I cannot bring myself to fully approve the path they have taken. I chose to become an infielder because I believed that Endfield was not such a place. I was overjoyed to win the approval of my fellow infielders. I will also remember the time I spent with the song seekers of the circuit, as well as the kind words that Martin, Marvin, Malin lavished with me. But I have my dreams, Administrator and Supervisor Perlica. I have my own vision for the Sarkaz, and so I refuse to become an elite operator. This is not yet the time. Huh. Interesting. Wonder who that is. So yeah, Sarkaz are still, it's only been 150 years, so like, of course, things might be better overall, but discrimination is not so easily cured. Imminent repute. Which is this Meshko? It looks like it could be Meshko. Yep. Well, killed that young apprentice of mine, didn't you? Why? Oh, that was your apprentice. Ugh. It's all a misunderstanding. This is how it happened. The fine young lad came to our underground arena and won 10 fights in a row. We're continuing this story. He probably wanted to earn his moment of fame with our event. Unfortunately, we're a for-profit organization, so we, not me of course, went a couple of mediators to have a talk with him. It was supposed to be a nice conversation, but, well, no one expected the accident to happen. Nonsense. Then I guess you're free to correct us. You weren't worried about the unexpected accident. You just didn't expect for the master himself to show up in your face and quit acting all civilized and polite. It disgusts me. That's rather dull, wouldn't you say, sir? Rather dull. Perhaps I'll tell you about the story of the asphalt roundabout. I'm all ears. When it first started, nobody thought the roundabout would end up like this. It began as a hostel for road construction crews. The long-haul truckers started housing their families here as well. The roads and freight routes natural transport hub. That feels like something weird there, but whatever. And all sorts of people started filling up the place. That was when all these underground tourneys and matches started. The roundabout was also the place where you could buy all sorts of weapons, gear, and even luxury goods. At its heyday, the roundabout was the center of it all: money, ambitions, and muscle. Of course, everyone respected the bottom line. I was amongst the founding road construction crew. I saw this patch of cargo homes grow and attain a size equal to that of a free city. The sight made me a happy man. I felt the roundabout was leagues ahead of that Talos city that they could never complete. Sometimes I'd even think that I'm a little too obsessed about collective glory. Perhaps a transfer to the United Workers might have done me good. Do you understand what I'm saying? Oh yes, I do, very much so. No, sod. Look at yourself. I don't think you're the type who understands what glory means. You only care about shallow decency. I won't blame you. The roundabout is now filled with your kind of people, like Half-Face and Senor Tomasino. Good people left when we stopped building the roads and the place was no longer a center of infrastructure projects. And then others moved in. Your kind of people, the type who respected no rules, no bottom line. You turned the roundabout into a cesspit. A quite intriguing tale, sir. When I decided to bring the lads to the roundabout to make a living, I actually investigated this place in a most meticulous manner. I acquired a legal license to operate from Misc Industries and paid respectable visits to every local organization. I believe I have conducted every step in perfect fashion to ensure the survival of our little setup. In all honesty, I do intend to extricate myself from a questionable past and start an honest business. Likewise, my organization adheres strongly to the rules. But why did you make it sound like I'm the one breaking the rules? Shouldn't it be that hard-headed apprentice of yours? Rules? There's only one rule. Treat yourself and others as fellow humans. This is the one rule that your kind will never figure out. I've never heard of it before. Did you just make it up? No, son, I wrote the rule and fought long and hard to defend it. I think I understand now. You're one of those masked heroes. I thought people like you only existed in children's books. Truth be told, I aspired to be someone like you when I was a boy. There were times when I pondered what I would be like if I were born a century or so earlier. Could I have become one of the heroes who ended the First Agaloy War? That aside, things are very different now, old sir. The time of heroes is long gone. We must use other means to achieve eminent repute. Yeah, I'm no hero. Just an old fool who fights only when I'm completely out of patience. Yet despicable scum like you who do anything to win are far worse. Well said, sir. Perhaps we should let our weapons do the talking from now on. I like the Mishko storylines, they're fun. Roundabout will seem like an interesting place if we ever go there. Also, Talos City, I guess, is not complete. It's been mentioned here and there. I guess it's one of those, like, yeah, the always under construction cities. Was it supposed to be, like, I guess the capital of the planet? Administrative hub? Probably empty. That's what it sounds like to me, at least. Oh, I almost forgot. How could I almost forget? Rosie's weapon. Yeah, it seems like the last one. The man walked in and quickly slammed the door of the simple barracks. The recalcitrant door barely managed a painful creak before it was forcibly shut to block the frigid air outside. The man then looked around and breathed a long sigh of relief. His daughter was still asleep in her cubicle. The cub of the pack was 4, and the hardest to coddle asleep. His wife prepared the weapons. The scope and arts units had been taken apart, the parts laid out across the table. She was wholly focused on honing a short blade when her man walked in. Cleaning up the weapons rack, the man sat on the opposite side of the table and pried open a preheated tin of meat provisions. The temperature was just right and appetizing enough. I hardly make the wrong guesses, dear. You'll be using these soon enough, right? I actually wanted to play a prank on you and tell you that, my sweet darling, your judgment about the hunt meat was completely off. Fortunately, the old wolf said those very same words as though they read a secret script you prepared for them, so yes, I lost the bet, and also I'll coddle our pup to sleep for a week. But just so you know, I don't like losing. The woman threw a sharpened blade to her man and gestured him to try the balance. She then picked up a gun and loaded it up with ammo. The pack never shared Jacob's views. The Landbreaker clans will definitely break apart, and if we're no longer friends, we can only be this: predator and prey. The clan must hunt them down and feast upon the kill. We'll become cannibals. Cannibals, I like that word. Old Lewis shared that view in the meeting. The Civilization Band is closing its grips around the Landbreaker's neck. The wolves cannot die like this. We must see it if our friends are good enough for the table. That old geezer has a way with words. So which clan will it be? Bone Crushers. They like Jacob too much. Those fanatics kind of disgust me. And the hit? A din stack smash and run, maybe. Grab their supplies tonight, then head home right afterwards. Nobody will know the pack did it. If I set off in half an hour, I can even make it back for breakfast. Just don't forget to say goodbye to our baby. You probably shouldn't wake her. You sure? I'm sure. The hit is just a stroll in the park. Bam. The man saw his woman slam the gun on the table and coldly glare at him. An unloaded bullet rolled across the table, fell off the corner, clinked on the floor, and continued its journey to the corner of the barracks. He knew his wife saw through his lies. Don't lie to me. I never. Guessing the details of your meeting wasn't hard. Jacob's negotiations with the Civilization Band fell apart. He and his loyalists will be torn apart. There's only one thing you want: to keep the pack safe in these turbulent times. Go and pause and breathe deeply before continuing. Wolves will be killing wolves. The clan will be forced to do housekeeping. Those who stand with Jacob will be eliminated. Even the wolves who made their names in the Civilization Band by raiding and killing will be bled dry and left to die in the wildlands. And that isn't the end of it. Some of you will be sent out to war with the other clans. Direct open war. It's a sign. The Banders know the best time for their offensive approaches. They know the pack takes a different path compared to the other clans. You want to rush the end of the Landbreakers, and some of you volunteered for the suicidal path so that the clan can survive. How did you guess? Because my tally is higher than yours, dear. I see murder glistening in your eyes. Love, I do not fear this. Maybe, when I close my eyes, I'll see Nono waiting at our old villa in Siracusa. I'll tell him that I took care of my beloved wife, my baby girl, and all the other cubs. I'll tell him that our legacy lives on, running atop the grazing fields, counting creds in a city alley, or even embracing new lives as Telosians. Our familiar name will be cleansed new with the name of our clan. No matter the life we chose, the pack will decide for ourselves. I'll go with you. I forbid it. I chose to join this hunt and accept death so that you may live, and you must live, even if you have to forget about our homes and abandon the familia. The man could not go on. The girl's little palm opened to reveal the bullet that rolled off the corner. Good hunting, Papa. His girl just woke up and heard only part of the conversation, but that was enough. He originally planned to leave without goodbye and had to armor his resolve by taking a long walk in the blistering cold. But those soft words of encouragement shattered it and jerked him out from the great river called death. Aye. Are we bound by blood, and that is how legacy is carried out, isn't it? The soft hands, small hands, and rough hands gripped each other. Before the cubs could freely roam the wilderness, no one can kill us. No one. So I think this is too early to be her parents, right? Because, I mean, this person had a villa in Siracusa, so... And they're talking about fighting Jacob, so that was pretty early on. This is just some other person with a child. A daughter. And yeah, the Familia, of course, became the pack. Which Familia, though, I wonder? All of them? One of them? Who knows?
Really sorry.
Still waiting for something?
Pray, beware. I'm the boss of the pack. Wait.
Let's go over the battle plan once more.
Ciao.
Prepped and
Am I?
the path.
And
My
Still waiting for...
I off. Wanna come? Come on. Let me do something for Enfield. Watch this.
What a beautiful day. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Who's do?
I believe. What a beautiful day. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Yeah.
The slightest slip of mine decides who lives and who dies in battle.
Looky.
The slightest slip of mine decides
Oops, I was
who
muted
lives
somehow.
and who dies in battle.
Oh, we got a couple people. We can also update Alash. He's almost at 200. With our first reconvener profile. This could be juicy. Although Helliger never really got much in the base game. And I also don't really know much about Helliger. Still listed as a Liberi, but of course he's a hippogriff. Expertise, military theory. He believed that every theory should be traceable into actual wars and applicable to real battles. Team management, mentor, expertise. To young recruits, he always attempts to share his experience and knowledge, and impress upon them the ideals and aspirations that he has held dear for all this time. Hobbies. Living history book. His preferred approach to learning about this world is to study its history and everything that happened to this land. Hobby. Chess master. It's less of a match and more like a hard-fought battle. Every operator who played chess with Pogranichnik felt that they could relate to this feeling. Location, Rhodes Island. Date of birth, July 23rd. Now, this is actually interesting. Again, this is our first reconvener. Is this the same birthday, or is this a different birthday as Helliger? Different birthday. Okay. Helliger is May 5th. So this must be either they chose a random one, or this must be when they were materialized. Or mathy negative. Excellent strength and skill, outstanding tactical acumen, standard arts. HR summary. Pogranichnik, ID name Corson. Interesting. That's not Helliger's name, so I'm not sure where that comes from. Is a Rhode Island liaison and a banner commander of the Order of Seal Oath. He spent years at the Polar Circle front in the north of Talos II. Given the needs of the current situation, Pogranichnik joined Endfield Industries to provide relevant combat support. Pogranichnik's uncompromising looks of a professional soldier left me quite an impression when I first met him. He acts with great decisiveness and alacrity, and never with doubt nor hesitation. Once he promises to take upon a task, no matter how small or severe, he would see it through to the best of his abilities. Although Pogranichnik displayed no obvious preferences for the big three of the Bandit Corps, he exhibited a special emotional connection to the Mat Gorodov of the UWST. He would not mind talking to crewmates seeking shade in the city plate construction yards. There were even occasions where he met booster crewmates confused about life or suffering through the pain of shattered dreams. Pogranichnik is exceptional at boosting morale, even for commoners far away from the battlefield. He always found a way to instill confidence back into people's heart. Both keepers and booster crewmates who knew Pogranichnik often highlight his cold, sharp, yet endearing sense of humor. Martin Marvin Mallon, HR. Two photographs. An old photograph with yellowing edges featuring Pogranichnik standing among a diverse crew of various races. The group stood before a fortified defense works forge of steel and covered by snow. Two Oathkeeper scouts stood atop the defenses, gazing into the far distance with binoculars. Background. Contours of a fort could be seen in the slightly blurred horizon, along with its large caliber cannons pointing at the skies. Characters of note, a particular crewmate standing next to Pogranichnik wore an expression of pride that stood out from the others. The man pointed at the skies where a giant vessel floated above everything. This photograph does not show the entirety of that said vessel. Is it the Zhang or something else? A photograph of a great hall within a fort, taken from above. Soldiers of the Order of Steel Oath, who stood in the middle of the hall, raised their cups to the air at Pogranichnik, who stood up on the stage. Upper left, Pogranichnik placing a fist on the massive map behind him. Upper right, a long dining table, a silvery-haired man with a chiseled face, though the features were obscured as he faced the other way. All those seated at the table wore badges and sashes of banner commanders, and like the soldiers, also raised their glasses. Lower left, young recruits rubbing soldiers' shoulders with one another. One of them played an accordion, and those nearby seemed to be singing a cheering loudly with their mouths open. Note, the hall is filled with plenty of individuals and festive spirits, but Pogranichnik never showed the picture to anyone. Neither did he frame it. Recipes. That's it. I've thought of a new recipe. Name that quote. Entree recipe C5. Primal cut Burden Beast steak set, courtesy of the Woosters. A primal cut of Burden Beast shank, nutrient fortified, smoked. Standard Wooster Guards and Military Fare, winner of the United Workers Syndicates of Talos 2 Central Production Planning Committee Awards for 20 consecutive years. The shield guards are still getting used to the unique taste of the fortifying agents. Besides that, this is the most impeccable as field rations. It offers sufficient calories, nutrition, and the fillet has been prepared to provide an excellent texture. I remember tasting something similar before, something from Ursus. Entree recipe C8, metal crab Doria set. Not the metal crabs. Courtesy of the GGCC. La Phantoma metal crabs and Yersh cheese come together in this preparation by master chefs of Neo Tsukishi. This is designed to create explosions of freshness that blend the Talosian hills and oceans. A gastronomic experience fitting for the indomitable Oathkeepers. A culinary wonder rarely seen in self-cooking rations. They are quite effective in maintaining the morale of the fighting banners. However, caloric content of this particular item is currently incapable of meeting the shield guard's requirement. Please improve upon it. Entree recipe C12, instant Shangshu hot pot, courtesy of the HAS. These words were messily scribed on the back of the rations crate. Of course, and your soldiers are battle-hardened veterans. And what do you feed them with? Trough slop so stale that they're crying foul. Since you've been most respectful to this Tiansha, his entire crate is on me. Guaranteed to dispel the cold and put heat in your guts. Don't forget to warm the Birdo tallow for the grease dip. This entree has utterly decimated my warriors. Have the shield guards and the entire banner tried out for the painkillers. Cried out for the painkillers. A number of them managed to find strength to crawl on the ground and stuff handfuls of snow in their mouths. However, no one in the banner complained about the cold in the 30 click-foot march. Actually just had hot pot for the first time on my trip. Pretty good. I forget, it was some kind of pork broth. I don't know if it was pork bone. It might have been. I don't remember. Document. A map. A massive map illustrated on massive piece of tanned cystabeast hide. It was made just in case all instruments and machinery running on Oranginium technology fail. The map is densely marked with Order of Steel Oath defense zones, supply routes, and key strong points. Arsenals of Fort Forge Fane has been included as well. The southern area of the map shows dozens of roads meandering along the contours that connect the various Order forts. A few of these routes pass through Mirkwood, Lifelines that connect the civilization band to the Order of Steel Oath in the very edge of the northern corridor. The northern area of the map shows a jagged battle line that stretches across the land like a scar. It stretches from the main defense zones of the Order and ends only at the fringe of the Aurora. In the memo section furnished next to the map display rack, Pogranichnik, the author of this map, left this handwritten message. 1,237 names. That's the worth of this. File 2. Document excerpt of a conversation recorded. I need to lock in. At Fort Redacted. Sir Instructor, please wait. That lesson was most engaging. You must be a true expert in fighting the Agaloy. We just heard those warriors calling you Corson? The lesson will serve its purpose if it helps you survive an actual engagement. Is there anything else I can get you with, or assist you with? Oh, this is great. I'm Vadim. Vadim Ignatievich Smirnov. This one here is Muravyov. We're both from the UW. We can just shorten it to UW as well? Cool. Ignatia, I know this name. Did you leave your home because of your father, Recruit? He often showed me pictures of you. Yes, when he was around, he often mentioned your heroic deeds in his letters. He was proud to fight alongside you against the Agaloy that tried to breach our defenses. And always, in every letter. Yeah, when Vasha and I were kids, we were trying to be the heroes described in the letters. We played games pretending to be fighting shield guards. Everyone wants to be as brave as you. Muravyov and I passed the selection trials of the fort. We want to inherit our father's courage even at the cost of our lives. A most respectable goal, but I want you to understand that sacrifice is never the objective. On the contrary, the Order fights to avoid that altogether. Instructor Corson, back when I was still at school, I've always been picturing this in my mind, the Agaloy of the North smashing themselves into the front lines and the banners buckling under their weight. Just when the buggers were about to breach the Oathkeepers, heard the mighty thud of iron shields slamming into the earth. Corson and his shield guards had arrived and they charged forth. That mighty thud told everyone that you were the unbreakable front. The grounds where you stand would never be taken. Yeah, Vasha's right, Instructor. We're not afraid of sacrifice. No, I've seen too many aspirants falling at this place. If you really want to be a true shield guard, being a hero or sacrificing your lives are not the qualities you need. But you, son, you must learn to survive. Only then could you appear at places that need you most. Then you must place a shield before you and help the others survive? Exactly. You actually listen during class. This is the most basic tactic of the shield guard wall. We stand side by side to shelter the others and help them live. We do not care if they're trying to save their skins, inheriting a legacy, or getting ready for an effective tactical counter-strike. Yeah, your lesson's truly empowering, Instructor Corson. Vasha, say something. Muravyov and I will both become shield guards. We shall serve in your banner. Then I look forward to the day when we fight along your sides. Document. Summary of the Battle of Redacted by the TGCC United Services Research Center. Esteemed representative attending this joint session of the TGCC concerns and corporations. I am Tanner, Oregon, Special Observer and Battle Asset Insurance Agent. I am here to give you the report on the Battle of redacted, which I witnessed and experienced as an observer embedded within the Order of Steel Oath. This high-intensity conflict between the Order and the Northern Agaloy host resulted in severe losses of military assets, contributed by all signatories of the Band Accord. Primary asset losses incurred by the Order include 31 pieces of artillery walkers and other heavy UAVs for reinforcing a number of defense zones. For details, please refer to the printed Annex A3 provided next to you. Obviously, the sudden appearance of the unknown entity forced the Order to stop their offensive against the Aurora, but I would like to remind all esteemed representatives that all losses incurred in this offensive strongly prove our willingness to further our partnership and provision of unconditional aid to the Order. Once we assist the Order with the construction of industrial production facilities, the North will only need more goods from various companies. There is a healthy chance that the current model of bulk equipment purchases will give way to a new paradigm of multi-tiered technology and intellectual property partnership, one that is far more beneficial to our interests. During this battle, I was embedded with a banner that was part of the main offensive. We approached a ridge and made our way towards a forward fort. However, unassisted vision was unable to pinpoint the exact location of the fort as the massive Agaloid host blanketed the entire topography. This ended when the banner commander Coruscant, the one who had been most uninhibited in expending military assets, began his attack on the other side of the Agaloid host. The shield guards advanced in formation, pushing the battle lines over the ridge, and deployed signal flares to the high grounds to help the fort artillery to direct their firing. It was during this time that the unknown entity, the very one that blunted the other banner offensives, reappeared at the bottom of the Aurora. Esteemed representatives, I would like to take this moment to voice a consensus that I have reached with the Order. Under no circumstances can we allow any entity of this type to enter densely populated areas. So back to the topic. When the entity reappeared, I was in the relative safety of a forward command center. However, ether activities triggered by the said entity had rendered my recording devices inoperable. At this moment of desperation, Coruscant led his banner of shield guards and attacked from the very front. Shield guards raised their shields and pushed the advance with steadfast determination and valiance. I am afraid I cannot describe what I saw next in an objective manner. I saw red flashes hewing apart the greatest Agaloy, turning them into silent headstones. Every hole that appeared in the bastion of iron shield was quickly sealed by another shield guard. After 47 minutes of brutal battle, Coruscant and his shield guards managed to carve a path right through the Agaloid host and besiege the unknown entity that was responsible for killing hundreds of the Oathkeeper's best soldiers. In a single exchange, Coruscant split the statuesque carapace right through the median plane. The strange matter encased within the unknown entity attempted escape by ejecting itself into the air. However, fire rained down from the skies as steam vented from the gaps in the armor. The final throes of resistance were extinguished at long last. Esteemed representatives, the Order has proved their indispensability through this battle. Our support is more than just supporting the spirit of altruism espoused by the Band Accords. It is an investment towards the crucial strategic reliance of the Northern Front. Another objective of this report is to clarify that the actual legacy of the Order lies not within their vault of relics, but amongst key personnel like Coruscant. The value of these individuals cannot be appraised, and neither could they be traded. However, heroes of the band will be most valuable investment opportunity for the TGCC. That is without question. The background, like business politics of it is fun, but that being said, so they're not just fighting Agaloy up there. There is an unknown entity, or perhaps others as well. If it was just an Agaloy, they would just call it a new Agaloy, right? But they're specifically calling it unknown entity. It does have a shell, but some sort of strange matter tried to escape from the shell. So maybe it was like possessing the shell, in a sense. Very interesting. Matt Gorodov. I've seen this name countless times in Wooster art films before my actual visit. She's the heart of the United Workers Syndicate, replete with massive command towers that scrape the skies and integrated city plate construction yards. She resembled the nomadic cities that I've seen in my memories. Solid and absolutely gargantuan. But when I entered the city, the first thing I saw was not awe-inspiring industrial mega-structures. No, it was crewmates carrying building materials and rushing toward their workstations. The crews never seemed exhausted, and they labored to transport the lifeblood of this city to every corner. Every inch of concrete bore the prints of their hands. I did not seek the service of local guides. I intended to satisfy my curiosities myself. Instead, I chose to shadow a crewmate who just concluded his day of labor and followed him into a massive, minimalist building. After a bit of jostling, I arrived at the second floor of the main hall and sat myself down on a soft chair. And I only realized at that moment that I was in a crew theater. The crewmate who just finished his shift had already changed into his costume and became an opera performer. I did not succeed in guessing the plot of the performance. They did not sing praises of the heroes of labor. Instead, it was a comedy that critiqued bureaucracy. The crew of workers tactically worked together and misled the corrupt official into discovering pure gold, something that does not exist on Talos 2. Huh. In the end, the official ate the bitter fruits of his greed. Of course, the workers remained the heroes of this tale. These heroes were humorous and shared a boundless passion for a happy life. There's no gold? I mean, it says pure gold, but I don't know. I assume there's no elemental gold. The show ended and I left the theater with various thoughts weighing heavily in my mind. It was then when a girl around 10 years of age and her twin brother realized who I was. An Oath Keeper from the Order of the Steel Oath. They squealed excitedly. The children stood in front of me and saluted me in the way of the order. Their parents and other workers pulled them away with some difficulty as they had an endless stream of questions that I find rather difficult to answer. But I could tell from their expressions that these adults would have done the same as the children if they had been younger. I had a dream before I left Rose Island. I dreamed of a banquet. The children of army group nobility were dressed lavishly and kept under the watch of servants and governesses, like intricate dolls meticulously prepared for the show. These groomed children exude the same innocence and passion given off by the twins. The gazes of these young nobles also carried something else. Was it family honor, or a desire for power wielded by their elders? I could not tell, but I do know that the taint did not come from their own accord. I witnessed the taint transforming into ambition, and shone with a cold glint of schemes and conspiracies. In the end, they became something I could no longer recognize. After I left the theater, I trailed the streets of Mat Gorodov on my own. It was then when a strange sense of freedom caught up to me. I could still recall elite Imperial strikers following me in those great charges, the girl with oropathy, underground clinics reduced to ruin, crowds trying to make a living, and children playing with each other. These memories lingered somewhere within me, but they no longer weighed me down. A new milestone has been erected upon the grave of days long gone. I conclude my short tour of the city and quickly return to north. Therein lies a battlefield where an entire generation fell, a place absent of the dust of the old world, nor grand blueprints for the new. A field of carnage where survival is the only objective. This is where we fight. Audio transcript recorded by an anonymous individual currently archived at Rose Island. A little bit of his history as his past life history, but not a lot. Obviously, he's like Mat Gorodov is reminiscent of Ursus, so that's those feelings that they keep mentioning is because of that. Maybe some audio logs will tell us something though.
In position and standing by. The Zhang is much larger than I expected, but I hardly spent any time familiarizing myself with its entire layout. That's thanks to ingenious and impeccable designs by its creator. It's a great starting point for a great dream, Endman, and I'm eager to see how the dream unfolds. The automated industry complex is far beyond what I imagined. With a protocol automation core, the suite of Terran military industrial machines will finally have a potent heart. One that sustains stable deliveries of essential resources to every imperiled corner of the planet. Endman, your work will save countless lives. On that, I give you my sincere promise. The Arsenal engineers of Endfield are truly impressive. They managed to complete weapon maintenance for every personnel despite the tight schedules. Such efficiency is rare, even on the Northern Front. Though I must admit, I didn't expect someone that young to be in charge of your arsenal.
Yes, they did talk about the arsenal head at the beginning.
I've reviewed Instructor Lil Dodge's training program for you. The content is practical and the difficulty curve is well balanced. I don't intend to make any changes to it, though I added парочку простых испытаний based on my experience. But I trust that won't be a problem for you, Administrator.
What did you say there?
Before you were awakened, I've reviewed Instructor
Added one or
Lil
two
Dodge
extra
training program
minor
for you.
trials.
The content is before you were awakened, I hadn't taken part directly in Endfield operations for years. To me, whether I serve at Rhodes Island, Endfield, or the Order of Steel Oath makes no difference. I only want to protect what I believe is worth protecting. And this time, I shall advance and never retreat. Every time I look out over Talos 2, I feel a surge of inspiration. Massive swarms of abominations capable of engulfing the entire planet are forced into cauldrons in the auroral north. Mere soldiers of flesh and blood were the brick and mortar that held the enemy in check. This is one of the Oathkeeper's greatest military feats, an undeniable proof that we are worthy of the immense responsibility of preserving civilization. After leaving Rhodes Island, I first visited the industrial mothership of the UWST. For some reason, I wanted to see what fruits a certain chapter of history had borne in this land. When I laid eyes on that indomitable city, I was deeply moved. If the children of Ursus can leave the past behind, start things anew, and achieve their own feats of honor and glory, then I, Korshun, have no reason to hesitate any longer.
I can't wait to see the revolution.
Military life with the Oathkeepers has taught me 3 lessons. First, trust your comrades. Second, never back down easily. Third, never push your luck. In the North, violating any of these principles could bring misfortune to you or your comrades. During my time with the Oathkeepers, I reorganized and trained the Shield Guards. The idea took shape on the night before I reached the Oathkeepers' Bastion complex. Massive structures rose in the shadow of the mountains. Sammy's Mirkwood stretched out in the darkness as if dark green flames creeping along the riverbanks. Countless tombstones stood in rows, forming a wall that held back the enemies from the north. The Oathkeepers is a shield protecting the civilization band, and I've forged another shield for them. I believe these soldiers will never break.
The Mirkwood is Sami's domain. Okay.
During my time with the Oathkeepers, I reorganized and trained the Shield Guards. The idea took shape on the night before I reached the Oath.
Okay.
Halagor is more like a mentor and friend. I've come to understand his regrets and guilt and I've learned from his thoughts and skills. There is no Helagur, the Ursan general here, only Korshun of Rhodes Island and Endfield. At times I feel grateful I have no past to weight me down. Other times I feel мучительное одиночество. If what I'm protecting turns out to be another empty ideal, then it's no different from the hollow glory of the Ursa's empire. Administrator, I hope that you'll be one to give me an answer.
Okay. So to him, Helagur is like a mentor figure. That's interesting. That's cool. Also, he says he sometimes
Helagur
feels
is more
solitude.
like a mentor and friend. I've come to understand his regrets, and Andman, it is my solemn wish that your vision is fulfilled. That everyone at Rhodes Island can return to a life of peace and common joys. That the Oath Keepers can finally beat their swords to plowshares and enjoy the company of their loved ones. And that life can finally sink its roots deep into this ancient planet. I look forward to celebrating every victory with you and your friends. Even in the face of a devastating defeat, I pray that you will survive by any means necessary. If you do, then everything I've done will be worth it.
Him switching to Ursus, I guess, for like entire sentences is kind of weird. Like usually if you like are multilingual, you might switch interjections. But to just randomly switch into a whole sentence feels a bit strange. I don't know.
The youth of Opteam Z7 are truly impressive. They've only received basic military training, but managed to develop combat awareness on par with that of standard military combatants. Such achievement is rare and commendable. I worked all kinds of jobs in the north. Besides being a commander, I also doubled as a quartermaster and drill instructor. I forged weapons, milked new breeds of sea beasts,
Wow.
and even made grape wine. What is a soldier's honor? I'm afraid even I cannot give a definitive answer. But should you ever visit the Oathkeeper's fortress in the north, I urge you to visit our memorial. Every name engraved upon the monument once held an answer to that question. The Grand Treasurer manages a massive vault of legacies. They include not only relics of Oathkeeper legends, but also currently unrestorable terror technologies and mysterious artifacts of the precursors.
Yo.
I was once given the chance to choose a relic to wield, but I refused. I had already drawn on the glory of a past legend. For the rest of my life, I will leave behind my own glorious legacy.
Cool.
Most of the time, Oathkeepers are fighting Angeloi, Anchors, and the disasters caused by ether side activities. But there have been extremely rare occasions where we faced inexplicable phenomena. Traces of giant creatures, witness reports of peculiar individuals. This is why I immediately requested to return to Endfield when I heard the Endmen had been awakened.
Interesting.
Most of the time, Oathkeepers are fighting Angeloi,
Giant
Anchors,
creatures make
and
me
the
think of
disasters caused by ether side activities. But there have been
Pharynmuts,
extremely
but like
rare
how many
occasions
Pharynmuts
where
could
we
be on this
faced
planet?
Inexplicable phenomena. Traces of giant creatures, witness reports of peculiar individuals. This is why I immediately requested to return to Endfield when I heard
At least
the
two of them.
Endmen had the North is actually quite different from what most people imagine. After a century of development, the Oathkeeper's fortresses have become bustling hubs of commerce and entertainment. People became accustomed to constant war and have created a rather vibrant way of life. Outside the fortresses, the Semifield built settlements in Mirkwood to preserve their ancient knowledge and culture. Their caravans would often travel between the fortresses and the forest. Endman, you should pay the North a visit. It's a beautiful place, and I'll gladly accompany you if that is your wish.
The Sami really were like, you know what we want to do again? Be the border between civilization and a North that wants to kill everyone.
Industrial Mothership, the largest city of the UWST, now goes by many names and aliases. But I know her name was Simon when she was still in Terra.
What?
She sank in a lake under the tyrannical rule of the Ursus Empire. I still don't know why the Empire salvaged her afterwards, nor why they repurposed that ruined city into an exclave in a foreign world. Nevertheless, she is now the largest nomadic city on Talos too, and a spiritual symbol for many.
They brought Simonch into Talos. I don't even know what to say. So it's still a nomadic city, I guess, which is cool. That means we could see a nomadic city. Hopefully it still looks like one. I can't believe it's actually Simonch. We just started hearing about that one in the Ep 16. So it came out from under the lake. They repaired it and then sent it to Talos. I mean, I guess it's not actually that crazy of an idea. If you have nomadic cities, right? Why wouldn't you just drive your city to Talos if you're going to move people there, right? Although, how big is the portal? The portal must be way bigger than I thought it was. I mean, it's a big place, but it must be even bigger. Unless they broke it up into smaller pieces. Yes, but... yeah, if you have a society based on nomadic cities, I guess you, instead of like making a new city, you might as well just drive one over there. It's just was not expecting Simonch.
When I first chose my shield guards, I saw a motley of trainees even younger than me. My first task was to strip away their aggression, for they are guards and not attackers. Next, I taught them every tactic I knew, so they not only defend but become the living front line itself. Finally, I made sure that they mastered survival. But in that regard, I've always felt that I haven't done enough. Sacrifice is never the objective. It is a last resort for the sole purpose of avoiding more sacrifices.
He doesn't like sacrifices, but it does seem that the Oath has a bit of a fatalistic fascination.
I've heard stories about Miss Amber, a most remarkable warrior. Her assignment to the south wasn't just about rebuilding her squad. Her commander wanted to give her a chance to lead a normal life. I believe you have noticed this already, Ant-Man. Sadly, she is unlikely to appreciate the meaning of this generosity. A soldier who could make peace with their past would never have gone so far as she has.
I don't know enough about Ember, but okay. I guess her squad died. Samifield.
Contrary to what people say, the Samifield are not xenophobes. It is true that for more than a century, they've been living under the lingering protection left behind by their All-Father. Yet they generously offer help to travelers who respect Sami traditions. The Cyclops once gifted Sami's teeth to the Seshkamem to power the floating bastion. The Snow Priests are also more than willing to share their arts with the Oathkeepers. It is clear that the Samifield have found their own way of embracing a new life on Talos 2, while preserving their heritage.
I said left behind by the Allfather. Did Sami leave again? Sami's supposed to be here. They said that earlier. All of this is just combat stuff, which I think we're good with. All right. I think the next one is Akekuri, but let me check.
Where are we headed? The end.
The battle.
Originium.
Contemplate. Wind speed's okay? A strong team
Yeah.
is one without any weak links.
Expertise team building. She knows that patience and dedication are the secret ingredients needed to build and nurture a new team out of nothing. Expertise tea breaks. Hot drinks and desserts can quickly alleviate exhaustion, eliminate conflict, promote understanding, and expedite meetings. Hobbies, charity. A good deed a day. Akekuri feels truly happy whenever she remembers that everything she does brings Endfield closer to its vision. Sports. Integrated physical training. Akekuri has set aside fashion, fine arts, literature, and other things that once interested her. Instead, she now spends her time exercising. Birthday, March 31st. Oropathy negative. Standard strength. Standard combat skill. Excellent tactical acumen. Normal or Ingenium Arts. HR summary. Operator Akekuri, also known as Shiba Momiji, graduated from a Neo Tsukushi business school and joined Endfield Industries as a reserve operator. She now leads Operation Team Z7 in the Specialist Tech Division, overseeing both field operations and team management. With her background, she could have walked into any renowned TGCC company with a single recommendation, yet she chose to join Endfield. Even here, she could have opted for a desk job, but during her rotation in the Specialist Tech Division, she volunteered to take on the challenge of rebuilding Operation Team Z7, stepping into the role of a frontline operator. I believe Akekuri has always been driven by the ideals and passion. She's exactly what kind of young talent Endfield needs. During our interview, she asked me, what's Enfield's vision as a great enterprise, and how does it plan to achieve it? This is a question only the administrator can truly answer. Marvin Mallon, HR Division. Neo Tsukushi Business School News. Special edition. On the eve of the graduation ceremony, our reporter sat down with top graduate Shiba Momiji for an exclusive interview. Miss Momiji, you've maintained the top GPA in your major for 4 years straight and won 2 gold medals in the TGCC Youth Business Competition. What has kept you so driven all this time? Shiba Momiji smiled and replied, "It's just how I do things, or maybe it's the way my mother taught me to approach life ever since I was little." Shiba Momiji interned at several top-tier TGCC companies. Her experiences included an on-site rotation at the headquarters of Shinozu Trading, as well as contributing to a business proposal for TGCC's logistic coordination system. Her key optimization ideas for the risk assessment model received glowing feedback from the company leaders. Yet when asked about the achievements she's most proud of over the past 4 years, she spoke fondly of her work with the volunteer group Firefly Light. I've always believed that the true value of business and management lies not only in profit but also in how we support one another. Firefly Light taught me how to stretch limited resources to help as many people as possible. When asked about future plans, your mother runs Shiba Trading as its CEO. Many assume you'll follow in her footsteps, especially since you've never publicly expressed other ambitions. With graduation just around the corner, can you share your plans? Shiba Momiji simply shook her head and grinned. I've made up my mind, but you'll have to wait a little longer to find out. A self-recommendation letter. Dear HR team at Endfield Industries, my name is Momiji Shiba, a student at Niotsuchi Business School. I am writing to express my interest in joining Endfield Industries in a position focused on resource management and personal coordination. Though I do not come from a technical or combat background, I specialize in logistics, coordination, and on-site problem solving. I firmly believe these skills can make a meaningful contribution. I am ready to undergo any required training or evaluation, and I am willing to take on frontline responsibilities if needed. My goal is to be a dependable team member who helps others work more safely and efficiently. Thank you for your time and consideration. I have attached my resume, transcripts, internship records, and project examples from past competitions. I look forward to hearing from you. Shiba Momiji. Application for Operations Team Leader position. Akekuri. Rotational Operator, Specialist Tech Division. Dear Supervisor Perlica, I have learned that the Operational Axis is currently recruiting a new leader for Operational Team Z7 within Endfield Industries. Therefore, I am writing to formally apply for the position. To my knowledge, Operations Team Z7 was originally a multi-purpose support unit. Its former members have since been promoted or reassigned to other teams, leaving the unit inactive. Given the growing multi-front operational demands faced by Endfield Industries, as well as the ongoing personnel shortages within the Specialist Tech Division, I intend to rebuild Z7 as a compact, agile support team capable of independently handling low to mid-risk missions while assisting other task forces when needed, all without drawing heavily on existing resources. I have completed all required field training, earning A or higher rating in 32 real missions and over 200 simulations, and I have solid experience in on-site coordination and leadership, if required. I can also make an administrative duties and serve as a point of contact between management access and operational access. If approved, I will begin recruitment and training immediately to get the team mission ready in the shortest time possible. A summary and detailed proposal are attached for your consideration. Sincerely, Akekuri. No wonder that girl nagged me for a whole month, asking in painstaking detail about every tactical role, its duties, skill requirements, training plans. In the end, she even put my name down in her proposal. CRAD, Infield Security Professional. I'll be honest, a few of the people Operator Akekuri brought into Operations Team Z7 made HR raise their eyebrows, but with Supervisor Perlica's green light and her personal guarantee, I'll give him a trial run for now. Martin Marvin Mellon. Akekuri asked me to help train the new recruits, show them how to use tactical maneuvers against heavily armed targets. Oh, you got the same invite? Conversation between Operator Chen and Operator Ember in the hallway. We successfully passed the assessment within 3 months, right on schedule. Great job, everyone. I've prepared some hot drinks and snacks. Once you've had a good rest, we'll take a look at our very first mission together. Akekuri. Letter from the TGCC, Sender, Shiba Trading, recipient, Human Resources Division. Dear HR team at Endfield Industries. Greetings, my name is Shiba Yoko, mother of Shiba Momiji. Pardon me for reaching out in this manner. As the CEO of Shiba Trading, I am accustomed to addressing matters with logic and efficiency, yet as I write this letter, I find myself overwhelmed with emotions. Momiji is my only daughter. Her father met my younger brother while serving in the war against the Agaloi. That bond eventually brought him into my life, and later we had Momiji. While I was the strict teacher in her upbringing, her father and uncle were her playmates and protectors, filling her childhood with laughter and idealism. Everything changed after the crusade against the Agaloi ended 10 years ago. Her uncle never returned, and her father came back a different man, only to leave home not long after. Since then, I raised Momiji with care and intention, preparing her to carry forward both our family and our business. I shielded her from the very things that once tore our lives apart. She set aside her childhood games of fighting Agaloi and turned her focus to her studies, growing into a diligent, understanding young woman. She never once let me down. And yet, upon graduation, she made an unexpected decision, joining Endfield Industries and volunteering for frontline duty. I was taken aback and deeply upset. We argued incessantly, and our relationship suffered. But over time, I came to realize that this was not just a reckless impulse. The same sense of justice and idealism that once guided her father lives on in her. Though these ideals may have cost her a carefree childhood, they now give her purpose and strength. I no longer oppose her decision. She is determined to prove her worth, even if it means risking everything. This is a resolve I cannot deny. I respectfully ask that you keep her safe as much as circumstances allow, but please understand that my daughter is more than just academically gifted. Thank you for supporting her journey. Shiba Yoko. It's kind of a, I don't like, kind of a weird thing to write to the company. I don't know. Like, I thought she was gonna be like, make a request, but she didn't really. She's just like, here's my life story. Anyway. Thanks for hiring my daughter, I guess. File 4. Before reflecting on the past, used to come naturally. Or, I see. The comma was important. Before, reflecting on the past used to come naturally for Shiba Momiji. Back in school, she had a knack for breaking down a year's worth of progress with neat charts and detailed annotations, earning top grades with ease. But now things are different. It's been a full year since Operation Team Z7 was formed, and instead of stats and milestones, what fills her heart now are feelings. She constantly worries about Catcher. As the team's shield and support, he looks after everyone like family. Is he overextending himself? She pays attention to Estella's condition. Some may see her as unmotivated or laid back, but Akekuri knows better. Estella is healing her own fragile body, while quietly helping Op Z7 heal the world. That takes a rare kind of strength. She watches over Fluorite's moods, not just her frequent outbursts and headstrong ways. Akekuri often asks herself, am I being a strong enough cushion, one that lets her feel understood and safe? She worries about Ondel too, often labeled as an odd one. He's pretty odd. Antal is in truth passionate and reliable. His way of connecting simply different. She sees how hard he's been working to keep pace with the team. It's because of them that Z7 stands as it does today. She's deeply grateful for their trust, for their belief in her leadership, and for proving that this team, once seen as inexperienced, could stand on its own. But most of all, she wonders about herself, as she met the expectations she set, using what little they had to help as many as possible, and to find her own light in the process. Sometimes she wonders if the ideals of Endfield are ever fulfilled and peace finally comes. Maybe, just maybe, her parents might reconcile, and perhaps she could go home just like when she was little, and share one peaceful family meal together again. She's giving her all to make that future possible. Annual Performance Report submitted by Akekuri. Dear Supervisor Perlica, this report outlines the major operations and achievements of Operation Team Z7 over the past year. We completed 40 missions with 90% success rate and 0 casualties. These include 16 cross-region supply runs, 9 joint wildlands recon operations, 7 high-risk engineering escorts, and 8 emergency rescues. We've steadily grown from a provisional support force into a reliable, fully operational unit. Yes, while our combat rating remains average in this year's assessment, we ranked among the top in support, command, and management. Regarding the rumored awakening of the Administrator, though I have yet to witness it myself, I feel the excitement and stories shared by our seniors. If possible, I'd like to respectfully request that Operations Team Z7 be involved in missions under the Administrator's command. It would be a privilege to personally deliver our tactical reports, and even more meaningful to work alongside the Administrator to bring Enfield's vision to life. Together, we can restore peace at Talos 2. And that's why they're playable. Incredible. Cute backstory, though.
Nice to meet you, Administrator. I'm Akekuri from Operation Team Z7. Oh, it's okay. We may be newly reformed and flying under the radar for now, but I promise, we're going to make our mark. Knowing you've been guiding Endfield since day one, I thought you'd be a lot stricter. But you're more easygoing than I expected. I guess that's part of what makes a true leader. I must say, I'd much rather be here in Dijang than at those so-called fancy events run by the business elites in Neo-Tsukushi. People here are way more relaxed and actually making a real impact.
When the Japanese character doesn't say the Japanese name as I thought it would be. Am I wrong or are they wrong? Because I dropped the U after the ku. So it's, she said tsuku shi, but I say tsukushi. Because usually between two voiceless consonants, an I or a U is dropped. Maybe it's not before a sh, but I'm pretty sure it is. I don't know.
I must say, have you ever had nama yatsuhashi? It's a traditional higashi sweet with red beans, matcha, and roasted chestnut flavor. If you're up for it, come along to the next Z7 team meeting. Hey, Enmin, want to sit down for a cup of hot tea? We've got cool stories from the mission to share. I love looking up at Talos 2 from the bridge. It's got all my memories. Where I grew up, where my family last was, and the places you've changed. Hey, what's with the surprise face? I totally got A+ in planetary geology and modern history.
You're just smart in everything, huh?
Oh, you want to know why the valedictorian from Neo Tsukushi chose to join Enfield? Truth is, I'm the one who's grateful they chose me. I like everything about my op team, far more than any corporate ladder. Here, I get to be a fellow combatant, as well as a pioneer.
She says Neo instead of Neo too, which implies that, like, yeah, she obviously has an accent. But that would, I guess, be a bit more accurate. Who knows? I'm gonna stay with Tsukushi until someone actually corrects me.
My wish? I just hope Mom and Dad can make peace. Dad's been out fighting Angeloy, while Mom's been running the family store. But why should that mean they have to live separate lives? If they both worked at Enfield, maybe they wouldn't have to choose between duty and family. When I was little, I used to play this game called Fight the Angelos with Dad and Uncle. I'd ride on their shoulders like I was the commander. Then, 10 years ago, Uncle got called up to the north as a shinobi hacker and never came back. That was when my parents stopped speaking to each other. I almost forgot about those battles until Endfield brought it all rushing back.
Her uncle was a shinobi hacker?
After applying to re-establish Z7, I went through over a year of intense training and trials. But what truly mattered was meeting Catcher, Fluorite, Estella, and Antle. They're the heart of our team, and the reason Z7 has a future. Guess there's no hiding anything from you, Enmin. Yeah, my mom had it all planned out. Business school, join TGCC, follow in her footsteps. Well, me joining here was not a part of her script. So, please make Enfield the biggest deal on Talos 2 or she'll start calling me back. Soda, それと, if you ever shop in the band, take this card. Shh. Yes, the store everyone knows about.
The store everyone knows about.
I know I'm not the strongest fighter out there. That's why trust and teamwork are our best defense. Now you see why this flare gun matters so much? Want to know how I keep Z7 running smooth? It's actually quite simple. Eat everything Catcher cooks, gift Fluorite fly traps, power through Estella's noisy tracks with her, and laugh at Antle's jokes. Trust me, it works. Our first mission together was just a simple escort gig, helping Enfield engineers build a dam on the frontier. Sounds easy, right? We bungled it so bad, we could have written a 101 Things Not to Do handbook. But when the dam was finally finished, standing waist deep in that cold water, the sense of accomplishment was real. If you were leading us, Enmin, I'd say let Estella and Antle cover us. Catcher and I draw the heat, and Fluorite lands the final blow. Wait, you've got a totally different plan? You want to see my report card? All A+, except for the business simulation in sophomore year. My teammates were counting on me, so... Oops. I kinda made the other teams go bankrupt. The professor later told me that in Talos 2, zero-sum strategy isn't the best approach. That was my one and only A-.
Wow.
Everyone says Catcher is a great teammate, but honestly, he's the one who needs the most care. I kept making coffee for everyone at the team meetings, and he just drank it every time for 2 months, until we found out he was allergic.
Oh my god.
That's when I switched him to hot cocoa. Some people are scared of Fluorite because of the way she speaks and her background. But if you get to know her, You'll see the courage and sense of justice beneath that hood. Trust me, you won't regret it. Another complaint about Stella lacking motivation? Nah, that's not true. Just look at her record. She's actually all about the thrills, adventures, and hard work. Oh, you don't get Antul's humor? Try looking at it from his point of view. Maybe you'll catch his train of thought and find that funny. Acquiring Arlene is our top priority on missions. I wonder what secret it hides. Over here.
All right. Chen, this is a big one. Hopefully we'll get some long, well-explained family history here. Expertise, a mix of every stance. Every school of martial arts has their own advantages. She merged them all and came up with her own. Nobody knew what an attack sequence could include 4 stances at once before she pulled it off. Flash of insight. She only needs to see it once to master it. This is not an exaggeration, by the way. Enlightenment by rote. Do not interrupt her when she's in this rare mood of reciting passages from the biographies of martial masters from Great Yin, unless you want to hear her recite the boxing manual for red-browed Wing Chun again. Stand up for justice charity. Altruism. She is the essence, or such is the essence, of a true warrior. Date of birth, August 18th. Oropathy negative. Excellent strength, excellent combat skill, standard tactical acumen, standard arts. Human Resources Summary. Operator Chen Qianyu was a native of Hongshan City and once served at the Wuling Scientific Development District. Supervisor Perlica later recruited her via a private channel to Endfield Industries. She is now a core member of the Crisis Team. Given her outstanding capabilities and mobility, Operator Chen Qianyu is an indispensable component of the team. Those seeking to join Endfield have demonstrated a wide range of literary skills when describing their motives. However, the HR division has yet to establish basic standards of reviewing the personal motivations section. If this section were completed in a manner that is too curt and or straightforward, I will ask the operator to rewrite their motivations in a style that they are comfortable with. However, despite being given 5 standard days to revise this section, Operator Chen Qianyu still persisted in writing, "I just want to join. It's fate." Reading this, I realized the need to reflect upon our current review standards and establish a new framework, while paying extra attention to the 2 blades that Operator Chen Qianyu placed on my table, though she claimed that she did not do so to threaten me. She forced HR to remodel themselves. Operator Chen Qianyu's inner thoughts and feelings are not as casual as she makes them out to be. Taking into consideration of her relatively rich past experiences, it is obvious that the extremely brief and terse description of her personal motives was a conclusion she arrived at after an extended period of self-contemplation. Additionally, I also realized that Operator Chen Qianyu's recruitment has been specifically approved by Supervisor Perlica. From my readings, the recent years have been a period where our supervisor exhibited emotional fluctuations. The operator managed to solve many potential issues by offering much needed stability and support. Most importantly, I may have neglected how the simple line, "I just want to join, it's fate," is actually congruent to the inner logic of the Endfield strategic objectives. In other words, these words could be seen as an alternative interpretation of unity and purpose approach to and partnership espoused by our administrator, which I also have in my records. Perhaps we now have an explanation capable of satisfying all parties involved in this review. Martin Marvin Malin. He really he really had to go deep just to justify her saying I just want to join. Maybe you're overthinking it, Marvin. Results of Operator Chen Yu's background checks are not complicated. The operator is as consistent, simple, and straightforward as she appears. Operator Chen Yu grew up in the Hongshan Crater and studied swordsmanship at Tianjin Hall. Prior to joining Endfield, she has interned at various organizations and served different individual employers. Hence, in spite of her young age, Operator Chen has years of solo combat experiences. After a period of adjustment, she has now grown used to team-based combat. Unlike many youths who lost their parents in pioneering operations in the unforgiving and disaster-ridden lands of Talos II, Chen Yu grew up in a wholesome and happy family. Her relatively simple childhood also gave her unshakable optimism. She is often praised for her excellent teamwork and sunny personality in multiple instances of team-based operations. Many key collaborators, including Chief Engineer Andre, have high hopes for Operator Chen and believe that she is a poster child for a certain facet of Endfield, young, positive, friendly, and eager to intercede and solve any problem that needs to be solved. Additional notes. During early contact, we realized that Operator Chen Yu has, without question or doubt, earned stellar performance reviews at multiple employers. However, many are still curious why she never stayed at any particular employer for extended periods of time. To date, Operator Chen has spent the longest period of time working for Endfield. We asked her this question during a regular interview, and her answers are provided below. Cheers and drinks at La Fantoma. Wait, did I actually work there for 3 months? Yeah, that's easy to explain. I had my fill of the milk tea, so I left. Oh, temporary security personnel? Yeah, I wasn't old enough to get an actual job, but I really needed the money for my next stop. My only choice was to work in expos and conferences, but yeah, those were the months when I met plenty of big shots in Talos too. Hold on, my graduation year performance at Tianjin Hall is actually excellent. Wait, you're not reading it wrong, right? Well, it's normal for me to be clueless about this. I never picked up enough courage to check the results. Yeah, I'm just a little worried that my mentors would compare me to my mom. I spent more than a year in Yungling Special Task Force. Yeah, I did that, but can we not talk about this? Well, there's nothing to hide. I just don't find the place a good match for me. Huh? Did you just say there are people who don't get along with me? Okay, that's ridiculous. Know anything about Duccio, the half-face? That notorious gang leader at Asphalt Roundabout? I actually had a pretty nice convo with him, you know. I found out that Chen Yu is always the first name in the invite list for all sorts of celebrations, retirement parties, and daily hangouts at various Endfield regional offices as well as Dezhong. Everyone would punch in Chen Yu first when writing their invitation mail. This is not an alphabetical issue, otherwise Ontel would be the first name on the list. Chen Yu is marked by her incredible vibes and abilities to liven up the atmosphere of an otherwise sober cabin. Once she steps into a place, it would take her less than 5 minutes to get the most introverted operators to start talking and the most restrained operators to start smiling. However, she usually does not have to use too much diplomacy to achieve these effects. In fact, Chen's direct and straightforward nature means that tactic and technique are things she needs when communicating with other people. Chen actually relies on other properties when she livens up the atmosphere. Several operators attribute this to her warmer, passionate smile. Others believe that it is her excessive overreactions and her ability to inflate ordinary-looking incidents into exciting moments. Certain operators would emphasize Chen's seemingly endless reserve of new ideas that bring about joy and happiness during recess, even for those unskilled in socializing. An example would be the tradition of office chair racing, which has been reinstated with Chen's insistence. Chen also actively took over movies aboard De Zhang, though most of her picks happened to be martial arts film from Yin. According to a few operators, when being a friend and listening to their account of the day, Chen could bring up points they had overlooked. Her inputs sorted out seemingly convoluted incidences as neatly as meticulously combined and kept twin ponytails. She's got great emotional intelligence. During the retirement party of an elite operator, Supervisor Perlica got a little tipsy, oh my, after going through a few glasses of tunneling nidworm blood brew, low colic content. While Andre snoozed on the sofa and Chen, surrounded by a crowd, trimmed the engineer's eyebrows with a pair of scissors, the supervisor suddenly blurted out, "Chen has the power to make people feel safe." What? It's so loud in here. Feel safe. I never heard these words from you before, Supervisor. Chen seems to regain her vigor by simply hanging around people. Even if her schedule was packed with field operations, she would do whatever she could to show up at various gatherings. She would liven up the event and even leave without a sound. When asked about this, Chen would say she was born without a serious need for sleep. Wait, Operator Chen probably uses more stamina and energy than most people, right? Sure, she might have training in esoteric Yinese techniques, but how can anyone maintain such levels of energy on just 3 hours of sleep per day? That's not healthy. Speaking of which, I actually saw her dozing off during her meditative sessions. Supervisor Perlica shook her head. Chen is determined to shoulder the brunt for everyone. Once she has set her mind onto something, persuading her to give up is extremely difficult. Oh, I thought Chen's a really easygoing person. Maybe she's just a little slow. Supervisor Perlica, did you just say something bad about Chen? Did she? Well, according to her birth certificate, which she found after an extended search through her personal belongings, Chen was born at a place far outside the civilization band in the year 132. Oh snap. That means we can math her age. What is it? What year is it? 150 or 155? Or... yeah, something like that. Or is it 160? It might be 160. I can never remember. I'll have to go cross-reference the, unless the wiki will tell me. Oh yeah, okay, yeah, 150, yeah, it's like 150-ish. So, she is like... $18, 20 years old? It says 152 on the wiki, so I guess 20 years old. Fair enough. She does not recognize the name of the place or what happened there. Thankfully, she remembers everything about her wonderful childhood at Hongshin City. Why is Chen, like, in quotation marks there? What is that? What is that supposed to mean? For example, her first sight of her memories was an evening where she was lying in her mother's embrace. The sharp ridges of Hongshin Crater resembled spears behind a wall of shields, like ancient fists raised high into the night skies of Talos II. The first word she spoke in her memories was "Mom," that she voiced into an echo tube with plenty of giggles. The echoes made it sound like a chorus of 1,000 voices, and Chen remembered her mother saying, Chen Shin, we should call her Chen Yu. She'll probably end up at the bottom of her class like I did, so a simpler name will make it easier when the teacher makes her write it over and over. The first sword of her memories was a stick carefully trimmed and sanded to remove all the thorns, barbs, and bark. The first reward of her memories was a gentle kiss on her head, awarded after she disarmed the wielder of another stick. The first time she understood things in her memories was when the grown-ups announced the Agaloy had arrived. Her mother suddenly opened a door hidden within the wardrobe and took out a blade she'd never seen before and rushed out of their home. The first sad moment in her memories was after her 10th birthday party. Her father called her and she went over. He wiped the cream off her cheeks and told her the news, and she never saw her mother ever since. But her mother's alive. She said it. She's alive. Makes it sound like she died, but pretty sure she said her mom's alive. I thought it was no big deal, Chen said. She had met a Liberi this afternoon, one that called herself Perlica. Though she resembled a TGCC heiress, she claimed she came from a place called Endfield. The two shared a mo bun beside a mud trail. Although Chen was the one who put in a great deal of more effort to push that burden beast cart, the quiet and well-behaved Perlica ate away more than she did. Then again, Chen got a smaller share because she spent most of the afternoon sharing moments from the first 20 years of her life. Oh, well there you go, yeah, so 20. Wait, so she just met Perlica? So it means that was the day when she suddenly disappeared from your life? She didn't disappear. I know she's still alive. We just don't know where she went and when she'd be back. She also made a very important promise with me. Perlica nodded. Okay, I've shared more than enough already. What about your family, Perlica? Tell me about them. Just like yours, Perlica said quietly. I don't know when my family would return. And we also made an important promise. Oh, I guess we really fated to meet each other. Chen grabbed the Liberi's shoulder and felt her stiffen up temporarily before relaxing. But why was her name... Okay, well... The hinge of the courtyard gate had broken down for a while. It probably broke 2 weeks after Chen Qiqi left. When Guang Jianshun noticed the hinge broken too, he couldn't help but feel he had already seen this coming. Every time someone pushed open the gate to enter or leave the garden, the hinge would release an irksome groan loud enough to be heard in the house, even the study. The groan at 5 during sunrise was Chen heading out to practice swordmancy. The groan at 8 in the morning was Chen rushing back home, picking up her school bag. Grabbing the food from her father's plate, taking 2 messy bites out of it, and rushing out to Chenjin Hall for her classes. The groan at 5 in the afternoon was Chen running back into the courtyard while chasing foul beasts through the grove, humming a song and swishing a well-balanced stick around. The groan at midnight was Chen secretly jumping out of her second-floor bedroom. She thought her father would not know how she sneaked out to have fun on her own. Jianshun knew everything. He had quietly paved a flat path leading to the gate and got rid of the protruding stones. He did not want his careless darling girl to trip and fall in the darkness. He had always been a dutiful father who acted rather than lectured. His name, Chen, meant builder of Hongshan. I guess the Shen part, because the word Hongshan's not in his name, but okay. When Chi-Chi first learned about his actual name, she laughed and said that it was too down to earth, like a hard and stubborn stone. The stone was the ballast that secured their life in the Hongshan crater. The stone restrained its ability to skip across rivers and lakes, and sink itself into cities and civilizations. The stone stayed behind even after she left and allowed itself to be covered in moss. And today the gate groaned again. Chen leaped from his desk and went straight to the living room. His daughter kicked off her shoes, threw down her traveling satchel, and collapsed onto the sofa. None of it felt normal. Chen counted the days in his mind. She stayed for 3 days during the New Year holidays and had not been back for 6 months afterwards. Her return to Hongshan on an ordinary Monday afternoon was strange. Her credit card reported no expenses for nearly 4 days. How did she survive, and why did she look so tired and exhausted? Did she take the wrong bus? Hongshan Crater was known for its complex geography, and people who seldom returned often messed up the rides and had to walk long detours to be home, but Chen kept all these questions to himself. Hungry, his darling girl nodded. He made some noodles and added 2 extra pieces of meat. The young lass was still growing. Chen Yu came to the kitchen and served the table. She did not forget Chi-Chi's rules despite romping through the world for 14 months. They sat facing each other and had their meals. What experiments are you running, Dad? You probably don't know much about it. Well, it'd be great if you cook as well as you do science. Your tests got all those generous HAS grants. Your mom likes what I make. Does that mean Mom had no taste? This is really salty. No matter the conversation, she would typically finish everything, even the soup, but this day was different. She set her chopsticks aside after 2 bites and just sat on the chair as her eyes gazed outside. Dad, I think I have trouble staying at a single place for long. He knew that Chen was clear that he knew that Chen was clear that he could not and would not say anything, and probably did not know how to continue this topic. He usually just let the discussion slide, but her drooping tail and expressions looked particularly sad on this day. He suddenly realized that his prodigal daughter had matured so much and was slowly learning her lessons. Goals on your feet? Guang Jinshin asked. Your old man used to be a pretty fast runner. I can't afford to be slow, or your mama's blade would catch up to me. What are you talking about? I used to hike up the mountains carrying 100 kilos of surveillance gear. You've seen them before, big telescopes. It's always down to the training. The old Tianxia would fly around and lead the way while we ran along the foot of the mountains and tried to keep up. Stop it already, ugh. I don't think I can find a place that fits me. She raised her head, the resemblance hit him, and she left him a little dazed. Well, your ma, she actually left Hongshan 3 times, and that's just counting this place. What? Why didn't you tell me about this? Because you probably won't understand. Jinshin saw the glimmer of spark between it return to his daughter's face. Chen was back and quickly enough. When did all this happen? Before I was born or when you moved back to Hongshan? Was that the last time she left? You told me she went to that row. Push me all you want. Your mama told me to keep it from you. Ah, that silly old woman. Why? He looked at the girl who started eating her noodles once more. So when are you moving out again? Okay, so her mom went to Rhodes Island? Okay, there's a connection. That's all the connection we've got besides their name at this point. Okay. And the sword, actually, of course.
Enmin? Yeah, I was trying to perfect a new move and didn't see where I was going. I never expected to be somewhere this high in orbit after leaving Hongshan. Talos 2 actually looks pretty small from where we're standing. I wonder where me and my blade could reach. Talos, maybe? What'd you think, Enmin? Enmin! Did you read that martial arts legend I lent you? No. It's not a novel. It's based on things that really happened at Yan. What? You can't picture someone whose fingers can cut like blades? You make a good point. But the fists that settled the tides of spring and autumn are even worse, right? What am I doing? Ow! Ugh! I'm trying to loosen my muscles. Being an Enfielder and running all these missions took me way beyond my daily PT quota. Hey, interested in loosening up a bit? I actually know a few meridians. Come on, off with that jacket, and you're welcome. Join me on a trip to the arsenal. I got a sword to claim. What should I engrave on the hilt? Cleave now as cleft? Or once known be deft? Enmin, please help me decide. I recently ran into a bottleneck. It's got nothing to do with technique, and I think something's bugging me from the inside. The legends say that the finest weapons will adapt to their wielder's mind. But this is just an ordinary piece of steel. Enmin, please help me out with this.
Endman, please.
Perlica used to drone on and on about you, but now you're just right in front of me. Feels rather otherworldly, if you ask me. What? No, I'm not disappointed. Having meals and sharing a roof with Perlica's ultimate and invincible legend is like the most interesting thing ever. Oh, hold on. You got crumbs on your face. After I left my home, I actually traveled around the band for a while before joining Enfield. I actually hoped to be a nameless heroine of legendary deeds, one who leaves nothing but mystery. But having experienced life outside Hongshan, I realized that true warriors can't just walk away from the results of their actions. So, I slowed down my pace and visited fewer places. No matter, I'll make up for this missed opportunity. I think I was about 10, maybe 11. I was practicing my swordmancy in secret in the hills behind Tanjian Hall when I ran into an angelos that got separated from its cluster. It was my first real battle. Father praised me when I returned home with a broken blade. But he also said this: you may have broken a blade, but there are those who don't even have one. I guess I got to see beyond my old man's usual self. What he said got me pondering, even to this day. Why did I become an Enfielder? That's a long story. If you really want to know when I got interested, I guess it was that occasion when I helped a really well-dressed Libri pull a burden beast cart out of the mud. Pearly gave me such a genuine smile, and I thought to myself, maybe I didn't have to travel around on my own anymore. Yinglong left behind friends to take up the mantle of duty, and my mother left me behind to take up Shi Shao. I guess people who find a true calling would just drop the less important things they have. But Enfield doesn't do that. Everything and everyone are just as important, and nothing gets left behind. If Enfield has taken up a vision for Talos 2, then I'll swing another blade to see it through. Taking Perlica off her work won't be easy. But I got a trick I used on my swordmancy seniors. If I wanted them to start working, I simply pushed all the chores to them. Now let's flip this around. We can simply finish all of Pearly's work, and she would have no choice but to start taking a break. What? Come on. It's a clever technique, right?
Yeah, I guess so.
My hairdo? Easy. Just use the two horns for guidance to achieve symmetry. My neighbor Granny Wong told me it's a fort secret and taught me this trick. That's odd. It's just life in a typical Dayuan neighborhood. People helped raise the neighbors' kids and we all grew up in the same courtyard. You could say we were more than neighbors. It felt like being in a huge extended family. Many, many schools have inspired my special swordmancy. The biggest influence? Definitely my master at Tanjian Hall. He taught me disciplined moves, efficient strikes, pure substance, no fluff. Next comes whatever my mother demonstrated to me when I whined hard enough. Her swordmancy was passed down through generations, and ultra complex. Every move carried a special meaning. As for the rest, well, I just came up with them after reading up on all those Swordmancer legends. A true warrior must have a signature technique or two, right? Wuling is a wet, humid, and sticky place. But I stayed there for a bit and I got used to that. The walls would bleed water droplets every time the blight tide rose. But Wuling food is just awesome. And the people there are like... I mean, most people are pretty nice. Bad memories? No, I definitely can't think of anyone I hate at that place. People told me that my mother named me Chen Yu. Thank goodness it's easy to write in Yanese. Spared me a ton of grief when my master punished me to write my name 1,000 times.
Her mother was smart.
You can actually see Hungshan Crater if you look down from the bridge of Dijiang.
Can you?
I left that place 2 years ago with nothing but aimlessness. But all those roads I traveled barely reached the width of a single fingernail. Guess I'll just do more traveling till I run out of fingers, or even palms to measure all my walking. I would probably have tossed my aimlessness aside by the time that happens. Mother has a crimson sword. She told me it was a family heirloom that a heroine of Yan gave to our ancestor. I remember how old folks from across Hungshan visited our family home to see the blade and recall its epic tales. Then, Mother disappeared with the sword. As I grew older, I realized that it wasn't just a weapon. It was a path, a belief. I still want to look for her. However, her little Chen Yu will be doing so with her own blade. Perilika was already an extreme workaholic when I first met her. I occasionally overheard that a certain administrator was the reason she pushes herself so hard. I felt really sorry for Pearly. But after seeing you, I kinda get where she's coming from. Aside from the epic vision and enterprise she's working on, I feel that Perilika simply wishes to fight by your side. It's round and it's shiny. Oh, this is the actual size of Aureline.
I warned you before. Don't
Runs
touch
to the bridge.
bridge.
Can we see the crater? You can see the aurora. It's kind of dark though. This planet's kind of dark.
Just a routine inspection.
I don't see a crater. This is pretty much the only place we can see. Unless it's over there, I can't really tell anything though. See a little bit of land. Everything below the ship is grayed. Well, I don't think we can.
Still waiting for something?
Alright, so that was Chen. We got Tangtang. We got those two. Are we gonna get to everyone? I don't know.
Finally, you here? What took you so so
How
long?
far am I? I mean, I'm caught up, except for whatever they added like earlier this week. The test area. I haven't done that yet. Tangtang. Expertise. Speed reloader. Pair of hands for a pair of iron. The Supreme Chief's bullets are always right on target. Expertise. A nimble escapist. She's skilled in escaping trouble. How did she get in trouble? You might need to ask her yourself. Hobbies. Water affinity. Tangtang is the river's daughter. She feels at home at watery places. Hobbies. Stockade upgrader. Tangtang's plans are often shock the stockaders. They have no idea where she gets her inspirations from. How have my polls gone? I have every character but Levitin. Date of birth, November 29. Oripathy. Yep, Oripathy. Oripathy positive. Or aka Oripathy. Standard strength. Excellent combat skills, apparently. Normal acumen. Excellent arts of simulation. I reviewed the crisis team's reports. She mentioned being adopted, didn't she? It's strange that it's true that many have been displaced by disasters even under the administration of the Hongshan Academy of Sciences. Have the HR keep an eye on her background for now. We might uncover something unexpected. You missed out on the Great Chief. I'm sorry to hear that. I wish you luck in the future. Tangtang is a member and primary representative of Qingbo Stockade. She joined Endfield for personal reasons and is currently serving as head of Enfield's Qingbo Stockade Liaison Office. I didn't know we had a whole office for that. You're saving everything for the vampire? Why is that? Are you a secret vampire lover? Vampires are cool. Fair enough. Operator Tangtang stands as perhaps the most distinctive individual among the diverse personnel of the administrator rather, has invited aboard Dijon. Much like our first meeting. Apologies, I need to retrieve the recorded footage stored in my database. Thwack, thwack. Hey, what's this thing doing on the big airship? Looks like a three-headed iron tusk beast. Kind of dumb if you ask me. Operator Tangtang, I'm here for your onboarding and... No, please don't slap my panel. I'm a personal assistant from Endfield Industries. So you're one of the Dark Mask's crew. You should have said so sooner, old Iron Face here. I've got some good stuff I brought for my new fam. Go crazy. After I repeatedly insisted I had no need for any Tangtang certs, ores, or jewelry, Tangtang enthusiastically pulled a ring-shaped ornament made from natural materials from her pocket. I believe it could be defined as a woven bamboo floral wreath. She placed the wreath over one of my panels, then curiously began tapping the other two. You're sharper than those wheeling tin toys. Why don't you come join me in Qingbo Stockade? Come on, call me Chief. My assessment of Tangtang aligns with others. Cheerful, straightforward, unpretentious, She possesses a childlike heart brimming with passion and curiosity towards everything. If I had to summarize her in a few words, I'd choose a child in the midst of growing up. However, I absolutely cannot join Jingbo's arcade and conquer Talos 2 with her. This has nothing to do with the endless stack of personnel files I have to process. It just doesn't quite align with Enfield's regulations. To avoid injuring Tangtang's hands and to prevent myself from suffering mechanical concussion, I really should consider how to stay out of her way. Strangely enough, she always manages to find me. Marvin Mullen, HR. So she torments Marvin, okay. After the Qingbo Stockade incident, we initially expected to receive a confused, grieving, or angry operator. In preparation, we had arranged some psychological intervention measures to help ease her trauma, yet when Tangtang arrived aboard the Zhang via teleprotocol, her face was lit with a big smile, or bright smile even, not a shadow of distress in sight. Supervisor Perlica reminded us that despite the complexity of her community, Tangtang managed to rally her scattered people with her own charisma. This proves she possesses a resilient spirit capable of bearing significant responsibility. And indeed, Tangtang proved far more perceptive than we had imagined. Her awareness and sensitivity to situations are second to none. In planning the subsequent development of Qingbo Stockade, she consistently prioritized the welfare of its residents, skillfully ensuring that every individual, young, old, sick, or disabled, was accounted for with a blend of boldness and attentiveness, guaranteeing no one would be overlooked or forgotten amidst the busy tasks. This quality is particularly valuable to us in work involving diverse cultural practices. Having a guide who understands the complex local interpersonal dynamics and ecosystem saves us significant communication costs in our development efforts. Tangtang has adapted to life aboard Zhang remarkably quickly. At times, we see her walking alongside Chen Yu, the administrator or supervisor Perlica, her eyes sparkling, tail swaying gently. She's also made some new friends, giving them affectionate nicknames in the style of the Qingbo Stockade. Moreover, everything about the Zhang seems to fascinate her, especially the canteen's vending machine. She circled it several times on her first day. An operator kindly stepped forward to show her how to insert coins and press the colored buttons to get a drink to roll out. She listened quietly, though it was hard to tell if she fully understood. That evening, the vending machine triggered an alarm, and Operator Zaihe ended up having to retrieve a stuck Tangtang cert from the coin slot. After several months of observation, our conclusion is that not only does Tangtang not require psychological support from us, but her presence has, in fact, infused Zhang with renewed vitality. When we discussed this with operators familiar with her, Chen Yu remarked with a smile, though Tangtang grew up by the water, she's more like an unquenchable flame. A passing storm might dampen it, but that spark quickly reignites and burns bright again. One afternoon, we overheard Tangtang chatting with someone. Her tone was as candid as ever. The chief's head isn't that big, kiddo. I can't keep trying to figure things out, you know. It'll just make me dumb. Clinical Diagnosis Report. Imaging scans indicate blurred organ contours with observable abnormal shadows within the operator's body. Detection of oranginium particles within the circulatory system shows anomalies presenting signs of auropathy. At this stage, the operator can be confirmed as auropathy positive. Attending physician's notes. According to Tangtang's own account, she contracted auropathy during a conflict between Qingbo Stockade and the Tiansha of Wuling City a decade ago. Tangtang stated she received no specialized treatment over these 10 years. Only various folk remedies provided sporadically by the stockade residents. However, examination results indicate that both her cell oranginium assimilation rate and blood crystal density are remarkably well controlled. When questioned about this, Tangtang replied, "Everyone says I'm the river's daughter. The water washes away the sickness. Could natural bodies of water truly cure oropathy? The answer is evident. It's impossible." Medication application form from Atienza. Generic medication name, oropathy suppressant. Quantity requested, long-term supply. Infection site of patient, ocular region. Reason for application, aiding Qingbo stockade. Audio log. Honestly, I'm a little hesitant about delivering the medication. The first time, he threw it right back at us, shouting, "We won't take handouts from willing people," and tried to charge at us with his head. Thankfully, the watchguards were there and helped us escape. I'm not afraid he'd kill me, it's just that we can't have another incident like that. The girl's oropathy is on the verge of worsening. We're aware of it, and surely they are too. She contracted it because of us. We have an obligation to treat her. Where was I? Oh. Back then, it was sheer chaos. The sky was pitch black, low and heavy with rain tearing through the curtain of clouds. We trudged through the howling wind. As the stockade residents charged out from behind the hills, weapons in hand, their shadows in the night like malevolent spirits. People were terrified. No one noticed there was such a young child in the crowd. The rain washed away the blood. No, perhaps it never truly vanished. Whenever I close my eyes, I see that girl's wounded eye and the leader's eyes, the one that said he just wanted to survive. I'll never forget them for as long as I live. The second time we left the syringes near the outskirts of Qingbo Stockade, where the residents were sure to pass by. This time it wasn't charity from an enemy, but maybe it fell from the sky, grew from the earth, or was carried by a beast. Thinking of it that way might make it a little easier for them to accept. I waited 2 whole days and it was taken. I waited 2 more days and saw the girl playing by the water. She chased in long ears along the river for quite a distance. She seemed much better. I don't know what will happen from here on out. I don't think this counts as true atonement, but I had a full night's rest, at least for that day. So she was unknowingly being given oropathy suppressants, which is why she's not as sick as she would expect it to be. Everyone called her Younger Dame at Qingbo Stockade because around Lin had only one child of his own, and later plucked another out of the water. The first was named Yi, so the second naturally became Younger. The folks of Qingbo Stockade always thought in simple, straightforward ways. No one knew where Younger Dame came from. Ren Yi said she was a kitten in a bamboo basket that he picked up. Ran Lin said she was a treasure, the river's daughter sent by the ancestral spring. A young boy nearby, hearing this, asked if Younger Dame was born of the river. Didn't that make her the river's master? Upon hearing this, Tangtang puffed out her chest, leaped onto her bamboo hobby horse, and declared proudly, "Exactly. The water is mine, Qingbo Stockade is mine, all the good food and fun are mine too." Ruin Lin ruffled her hair and burst into hearty laughter. Soon everyone gathered around the fire joined in, their mirth contagious, enough to make Tangtang giggle along. Conversation drifted to other things, and the matter was never brought up again. It wasn't until Tangtang grew a little older that one day she listened to the stockades talking, and a thought suddenly struck her. River water couldn't give birth to a feline like her. Where were her real parents? Tangtang couldn't make sense of it. She spent days comparing herself to everyone in the stockade. Some were too sturdy, others too short. Not a single one had ears or a tail as beautiful as hers. This dilemma weighed on Tangtang for quite some time until Ron Lin called her over to for iron pot stewed fin. Tangtang glanced at Ran Yi's bowl, then at her own. The head, eyes, and tender belly of the fin were all in hers. As she picked out the fin belly and stuffed it into Ron Lin's mouth, she thought to herself, why should I care about what the stockaders yammer about? Mommy's touch. Dad's cooking is delicious, and that's enough for me. After extensive investigation and verification, the HR division confirmed that Tangtang was still an unweaned babe when she was found, given the physiologies of a newborn. It would have been impossible for her to drift far along the river, therefore it in preliminary inferred that she was abandoned somewhere close to the Jingbo stockade. After conducting a detailed examinations and evaluations of her eye, medical division personnel suspect that the pattern within it is closely linked to her Orangenium arts. Given the pattern's high degree of regularity, it can be ruled out as a random symptom arisen from oropathy infection. Instead, it is more likely related to her familial medical history. However, after reviewing all preserved personal records of Jingbo Stockade, no individuals with similar conditions to hers were found. To quote her own account, I just practiced and practiced by the water, and this pattern appeared by itself. Interesting. This is absolutely impossible. We sought assistance from HAS, and after reviewing resident archives, they were likewise unable to identify Tangtang's relatives. However, a Tianxia specializing in Yin history made a breakthrough. Within the Yin documents passed down from Terra, she discovered records highly relevant to the pattern in Tangtang's eyes. According to legendary accounts in the literature, this pattern symbolizes the evolution of heaven and earth, containing ancient knowledge and inheritance. Yet Tangtang clearly lacks such access to learning. The Tianxia of Wuling were equally astonished by this discovery. They never imagined that such a unique user of Orangenium arts existed right within their reach. In conclusion, the specific reasons behind Tangtang's abandonment in Jingbo Stockade may be more complex than we initially assumed. And she has major protagonist energy. After we shared the investigation findings with Tangtang, she simply scratched her head and said her origins weren't all that important. After all, she had family and friends now, living a good life, though she did wonder just a little if she has blood relatives and how they might be faring. She emphasized it was just a little, but the size of a small shell beast, about the size of a small shell beast's claw. Tangtang still keeps the small swaddling cloth she was wrapped in back then. When handing the fabric over to us, she noticeably hesitated for a moment before returning to her usual carefree demeanor. And remember to give it back once you're done checking. Old video footage. Six hours, 23 minutes, 45 seconds, I guess, maybe. A camera, the gimmick that records stuff. Looks pretty cute, and it can even move. Looks like a little Lupo. The Wulingers came up with this gadget. We snagged it during our last run-in with them. Just gotta hit this button here to fire it up. Hey Chief, wanna take a shot and see how it looks? Come on, let's do it. Hey, how'd you manage to make my legs look so short in the shot? Makes your boss look tiny. Ain't you just usually kinda, hey, no hitting, it's me, and I'm the short one. I'm short, okay? Nope. Not playing with you anymore. I'm gonna wall up that mad woman and see this little Lupo, or use this little Lupo and to record her getting knocked flat. 7 hours? Damn that mad woman, off fighting with her big Madame Zhang again. Last time she got beaten black and blue by splatterers. You'd think she'd learn. I'll just cozy up in my stockade and dodge the blightery out there. Got clean water to drink and delicious fin to eat. Hey little Lupo, hold still, look, some clueless girl's practicing swordplay near the Wuling border. Let's tail her and see what's up. Those twin swords of hers look pretty decent. The local turf has too many splatters and get pretty dangerous. Better not let her end up as a splatter chow, and I, the chief, shall take her fancy stuff off her hands. 8 hours. You took out all these splatterers yourself. Yep, these little buggers were no match for me. But hey, thanks for the backup. Your gunplay is pretty solid. I'm Chen Yu. Nice meeting you. Tangtang, Supreme Chief of Qingbo Sackade. Ever heard of me? Of course, Qingbo Sackade, the one always stirring up trouble with Wuling City. Hold up, you're not here to rob me, are you? That depends. Are you a Wulinger? Your chief is just... And Wuling is the only thing that on my hate list. I, kinda am. Wait, no, not now, not anymore. What? Did Madwoman kick you out? That's fine. Being a Wulinger sucks blight. Hey, why are you crying? Hey, don't wipe your snot on me. Gross. 11. Didn't score any treasure, and even lost a piece of clothing. This trip's a total bust. Whoa! Hey, little kitty, loitering around Wulinger again. I thought I told you to skip this place. None of your business, madwoman. Let me go right now. Tangtang and Chen Yu huddled close as they examined the camera footage. They looked at each other. Bewildered and quiet, suddenly Tangtang snatched the device and bolted off at full speed. Dark Mask, Pale Scribe, take a look at this. I got some awesome vids of Greenscale's crying face, and they're bugly. Tangtang, stop right there! Chen Yu, face flushed with embarrassment, chased Tangtang around the center ring 5 or 6 times until Mifu, unable to watch any longer, grabbed and lifted both of them by the collar. Tangtang, I had to chase you down in Wuling, and I still have to chase you down aboard Dijon during an official trip? I was gonna say, okay, yeah. Why is she here? It's an official trip. Chen, why are you enabling her mischief? My fellow fam Darskmask owns this place, madwoman. You got no authority here. Let your chief go now. While Tangtang and Mifu traded verbal blows, Chen Yu smoothly slipped free from Mifu's grip, snatched the camera from Tangtang's hand, and promptly pressed the delete button on that piece of shame. Then, sticking her tongue out playfully, she turned the lens towards the bickering duo. The camera faithfully captured the scene. Tangtang, held by the scruff of her neck by Mifu, harkened back to the past. Despite the countless chases and scuffles, Mifu never grabbed Tangtang by her vitals. As long as Tangtang got her act together, she could always find a chance to escape. Tangtang never figured out why she always slipped away so easily. The observant Chen Yu, who saw this, naturally became the prize winner of this little tussle. A video of Tangtang, the defeated chief, with drooping ears and utterly pitiful looks, the one that can be enjoyed over and over again.
Your crew's pretty tough, but I've never lost a real spark. Well, the only ones I can't handle are those white-coated medics. They keep saying to trade my arithmetic and try to jam my butt with needles. Ah! They're coming! They're let me out! You've got too many talented folks on this detail. If I could just have a feel for myself. Dark Mask, I'm not greedy. Just give me Pale Scribe and Greenscale? No? How about that three-headed, super attractive old Airface? Come on, he's not scared of me. We're best friends.
Three-headed? Who's that?
Whenever I'm stressed, I just go yell by the water a few times, and it always makes me feel looks better. Someone as busy as you, with so much on their mind, should find a spot to shut too. How about that platform over there? Or that big window? What do you mean this could cause problems? Holding it all in is the real problem. You can see so many stars from Dijang's windows. Kinda reminds me of the old days, when I'd lie by the ancestral spring, watching the stars reflected in water. Spaceships also ship. The galaxies also river. When you think about it, Dijiang and Qingbo Stockade aren't so different after all. Both are good places.
Unless, is Martin Marvin Mullen, does he have 3 names because he's got 3 heads? Is that what's happening? Is he like a crazy robot or something?
This damage bill wasn't my fault. Blame that green-haired patrol rookie. He could have just returned my wallet. Instead, he chased me halfway across the base. I thought he was trying to arrest me. While dodging him, well, I might have bumped into a few creeps. Not like I'm guilty or anything. Just old habits from dodging watch guards back in Wuli. Anime! I bet Green Scales that if I could call you admin for a whole day, she'd buy me tons of snacks. I'm so ready this time! Just wait until she coughs up the cash, Darkmat. I didn't say it! You misheard! That one doesn't count! When it comes to Wuling static seas, everyone else just recommends the same old mystery stuff. Let me give you a real tip. Try the prison food in Wuling City. 3 dishes, a soup, and they even give you fruit! I've secretly checked. The inmates eat the exact same meals as the watch guards, and it's all good stuff! Oh, and I'll tell you about cool spot too. When you're crawling through the underground tunnels toward Wuling, there's this place where light shines through with tons of flowers growing nearby. So pretty! Too bad that Matt wanted me if I had to block it off. You know, there's one thing I've always wondered. Who were my real parents and why they put me in the water? Everyone says I'm the river's daughter, but a river can't just birth a feline. Dad told me I came floating in a basin, all wrapped up tight with a bow on top. If I ever met them, I'd want to ask, they definitely didn't teach me because they hated me, right? I mean, who ties a bow on trash they're throwing away? Ah, don't move! You almost snapped my bamboo strip. The sun's been kinda harsh lately, so I thought I'd weave you a hat for shade. It's just measuring a hat. What? You don't trust my skills? The bamboo baskets, crates, shelves, back at the stocking. Okay, fine. I did make those. But Jingle says handmade stuff carries more meaning. Anyway, when Chief gave us a gift, you're taking it, no matter what it looks like. I know the Stockhead folks call me Chief, but in their hearts, they're really full of my brother. They gave him weapons, taught him to read. They gave me toys and clothes, just humored me during training. Even now, I barely know any characters. They treated me well, always trying to keep me happy. No faults, no blame. I can only kick myself for not stepping up. And now it's different. I'll be a proper leader, not just for the Stockade or myself, but for everyone who believes in me too.
Okay, but that's kind of messed up. They taught her brother to read, but not her?
Dark Mask, you're great in every way except one. Your posture's way too stiff. I can't even sneak up on you properly. Makes it hard to pat your shoulder or ruffle your hair. Why? Because I want to reward you, of course. It's a sign of trust between us. Hey! Don't even think about patting my head. I'm the boss, and the boss's head is off limits. Swimming, pounding, skimming stones, anything to do with water, I'm a natural. Folks at the Stockade say I'm a child gifted by the ancestral spring, and that water just loves me. But between you and me, truth is, because I can't see well with this eye, I always feel behind when swimming with others.
I refused to accept it. Practiced every single day. Till I mastered the scene with one eye and left them all in my wake. What's that saying again? Right! Hard work pays off! My hand cannons were left by my dad. My clothes were made by Qingwu. My hair was cut by my brother. The bandages were stitched by Shuiling. That's how everything is at a stockade. No dedicated professions. Everyone has to know a little bit of everything, helping each other out. Oh, and I'm way better at cutting hair than my brother. Wanna give it a try? That hairstyle of yours, tell Blaze how to do it. Dark Mask! I stop running! In winter, we'd dry the thing we caught on bamboo wrecks to make jerky. For those couple months, the whole Qingwu stockade reeked so bad. I almost wish me food just dragged me off tooling. But once they were fully dried, stir-fried with veggies and laid-over rice, absolutely delicious. You know, it's kind of like life. Bitter first, sweet later. In the end, things always work out. Here, another tunnel cert for you. You helped me out in the containers today, so I owe you one. But that machine, the one that spits out little bottles will kick it, definitely wasn't me who broke it. Anyway, forget that. You've got way too many tunnel certs now. Gotta change the rules. From now on, you, Dark Mask, need 500 to redeem just once. My certs, my rules.
Inflation hits hard.
I covered the sign not because our thing made it light sensitive, but because it lets me use that thing called Originium Arts. I couldn't control it before and ended up hurting that mad woman during a fight. And she still has the scar. I was afraid of hurting someone else by accident, so I've kept the eye patch on ever since. But hey, everyone says it gives me more chief vibes, so even after I learned to control it, I never really thought about taking it off. You know, over 100 years ago, our ancestors at Qingwu Stockade grew tired of all the fighting and rivalry among people. They left those conflict-ridden places and settled by the ancestral spring. But after the Wuling folks arrived, we started fighting all over again. Like no matter where you go, people just can't escape grudges and disputes. Because these things take root right in everyone's hearts. But if I manage this home well, those conflicts won't repeat themselves. No, more than that. I'm gonna do even bigger things here at Endfield, together with all of you. You know, that Mifu used to be one of us at the stockade. And one day she just lost it, and had to go recognize that drone as her boss instead. It really pissed me off to death. I told her over and over I'd become a way better leader than that drone. She still never looked back. Huh? Nonsense! All those times I went to Valley City wasn't to beg her to come home. I went to beat her up! Huh? That lightning road, Tianshi? The simplest things always get twisted up when she explains them. I swear every word feels like a trap and takes me forever to untangle. We're just two different types of water flowing in opposite directions. For Stocke's sake, I gotta listen to her anyway. Huh? Dark Mask, help me out with this proposal. What in the world is flat retail supposed to mean? When we lose someone at a stockade, we send off a bamboo water chime. The first one I ever released was for Dad. Brother said the ringing from the spring was Dad speaking to us. After that, I'd always go to the water when I felt lost, and it would answer. But when I asked about brother, it stayed silent. I waited for a long, long time until I fell asleep. Maybe Dad believed this was something I had to figure out alone. I don't usually like reading, but those books Grinska's gave me last time were pretty good. She said they're from Hongshan and meant for kids who can't read yet. But honestly, the lessons in books are explained so clearly, a lot of grown-ups can manage that, even though they know all the words. At least when I showed them to the crew, everyone was slapping their knees saying, "That makes sense!" If people in this world talked as plainly as those books, how many fewer problems and misunderstandings would there be? Ooh, can I sell it for cash?
Yeah, interesting lore about her eye. It's interesting that it's not just her eye that's covered, but also just the, like, I guess her pupil shape is also a thing that we should be questioning. I mean, if we're questioning hers, and we gotta question a lot of people's, to be honest. Good stuff, though. I know there's 2 other characters, but don't want to run long. But I have a lot of reading to do tomorrow as well, so we'll save them for another time. We'll have more characters by then as well. Tomorrow, of course, Arknights event, Unrealized Reality, which may or may not have some things that could or may not be related to Endfield. So you don't want to miss it. But until then, thank you all for watching. And may the sands of time treat you well.